Boa tarde a todos. Eu espero que som e imagem estejam a 100%. Vamos esperar um pouco mais só para que toda a gente acabe de se registar e entrar nesta primeira webconference da SEO Portugal. Vou fazer um pequeno anúncio em inglês, já retorno ao português para a nossa audiência mais internacional. So, everyone, thank you so much for attending this SEO Portugal web conference. Thank you so much. I will be doing a brief Portuguese introduction, but we will be speaking mostly in English during this afternoon, the next couple of hours that we will be together speaking and talking about SEO. So I will be back soon to you guys who speak English, just short notice in Portuguese. Dito isto, obrigado a todos. Esta é uma conferência internacional, então nós decidimos maioritariamente falar em inglês e apresentar em inglês, até porque mais de metade dos palestrantes irão falar em inglês, então para que seja mais inclusivo para todos, iremos apresentar em inglês. Nós sabemos que haverá uma outra pessoa que pode não dominar tanto o inglês. Podem fazer de qualquer forma perguntas em português no chat. Eu estou aqui a acompanhar o que vocês estão a escrever. O Tiago disse boa tarde, o André disse que está tudo operacional. Portanto, estejam à vontade, vão deixando perguntas durante as apresentações. Pode ser em inglês, torna mais fácil para não haver tradução, mas se não se sentirem confortáveis, escrevam e perguntem em português, que eu irei ler e traduzir se for o caso. Se fizerem perguntas em português para palestrantes que falem em português, provavelmente serão respondidas em português. Portanto, vamos aqui tentar ser um pouco inclusivos com todos. Hoje iremos ter um núcleo espetacular de profissionais da SEO, portugueses, brasileiros, suecos, gregos, portanto é super internacional. Estou muito feliz de estar a ser o moderador desta web conference, portanto eu espero que vocês possam gostar. Vamos dar início, que eu creio que neste momento já estará toda a gente aqui junta, portanto vamos falar, discutir e abraçar aqui o SEO. Good afternoon, everyone. Sorry about this introduction in Portuguese, but now and from now on, we will be speaking in English. All the presentation will be in English. We have got today an incredible group of professionals of SEO, which is incredible. I'm really, really glad and happy to have all my friends here talking and discussing SEO with me. We have people from Sweden, Greece, London, Italy, Portugal, Brazil. So this is really, really, really international web conference, and I'm really happy that we can discuss in the next couple of hours SEO and bring to the Portuguese audience all this knowledge that people today will be sharing here. So I will be actually starting with my presentation. Now I'm opening here this session with keyword research, or at least how we should be looking at content, and how we should be looking when we want to write new pages or create new pages, and that's absolutely essential in our work, in what we do, because we are an acquisition channel. SEO organic traffic is an acquisition channel mostly. So we need to understand our audience. And that's exactly what we will be discussing when we are talking about keyword research and content. The most important thing when we are talking about keyword research is not overcomplicated. It's really, really easy to overcomplicate everything. And most of the time when people engage with me and say, okay, how to get keywords? What about keywords? Everything is about keywords. And during so much time, that was the reality of SEO, was keyword based. not anymore. So please stop just complicate and overcomplicate keywords, because it's not about just keywords anymore. It's much more than keywords. Keyword will be part of our work. Keywords are actually extremely important, but just as the beginning of the entire process. So when we are talking about keyword research, and when we are talking about to create new pages, we need to have in mind the structure. So because we want keywords to create copy, to create content, right? So what is the structure that we really want to create? And that's something that we need to have in mind when we are looking for the next topic, when we are looking for an opportunity. Most of people don't know exactly where to start from. That's kind of the big problem, the big challenge. It's like, okay, I don't have anything. I need to create content because everyone says that content is king. So what should I actually create? And that's a very honest question that most of the professionals face every single day. To know which topic and to know exactly what to write about, that's the beginning of everything. And there are dozens of formulas and those ways. I'm just presenting here a couple of ideas that I want to share with you. So when you don't know exactly where to start from, you have your website and you need to create content. And content can be blog related, can be news, can be a commercial page, a product page. Everything is content and everything needs a keyword research. So you need to understand exactly what do I want to write about. Okay, so that's kind of the principle, and that will guide you through all the process. Okay, if you don't know that, you will have a problem. um, the first way how to do that actually is to use Google Trends. You can use Google Trends. It's a free platform. Everyone is laughing. It's like kind of Google Trends is it's kind of nothing because it doesn't give you search volume. It doesn't give you a lot of other information. That's true. But at the same time, you know if there is demand or not. And especially it tells you when you will have such kind of demand, especially with seasonality. So if you don't have access to a lot of tools, Google Trends, it's absolutely fantastic. Okay. Now, if you have a website and and you already have some data, you can actually use Google Search Console, because Google Search Console gives you all the data that your website is already retrieving to use. So you can see clicks, impressions, average position, CTR. So why not looking to those keywords where you can see a lot of impressions, but you are not getting traffic from? So of course you need to understand: do I have a landing page, a proper landing page to answer that keyword or not? If you don't, you have your answer there. So you are seeing demand. The same with PPC data. Ask your PPC team if you have PPC campaigns, SEM campaigns, if they have keywords, search queries, and you don't have a proper landing page to receive those queries. So this kind of data is actually essential when you are doing your keyword research, trying to understand um, your website, your audience. But what I really like, especially in the young projects, when you don't have data, where you don't know your audience that well, so and you are clueless, you are blind, you don't know exactly what to write about or what topics you should be writing about. So look to your competitors, see what your competitors are writing about, what products they have, which categories they have, and just mimic everything and do it better. um, so that's the beginning. Now you know what to write about. Now you have an understanding. So now that you have a topic, what are the keywords that you should be mentioning in that page? So LSI, or latent semantic indexing, that was something that for so long um, SEOs from all over the place were talking about. What Google says about LSI, does it exist in the algorithm? Yes, no, maybe. So Google is clear, it's like, nope, we don't have such thing as LSI. So yeah, let's keep in mind that Google says that there is no such thing as LSI, but actually we can understand LSI to be sure that we have the best article, the best page, the best content in the entire web. And that's kind of what LSI is in a way, because we are providing everything that the user needs when they search, and that's exactly our job. So it's not about the keyword. So we have the topic, and we need to understand. And topic can be a product page, can be the product name, can be a category, can be wherever you want. Okay, depending on your business. So when we are talking about content, it's not just the blog; it's everything. So and that applies to everything in SEO when you are talking about create a new page. You have to answer the searcher's intents. Okay, so when they search for something, they are looking for specific information, and you need to be sure that you are providing everything they need. So think if someone knocks at your door, you are selling your product, and someone came physically, knock your door, and ask you, okay, I want to know everything about this product. So what would be your speech to sell the product? Think about that. That's exactly the kind of information that you should have in your website, and more, much, much more. So when the user lands in your page, he will be asking, did I find all the information that I need? Can I trust this information? And can I trust actually in this website? So be sure that your page are truthful. So the user needs to actually to trust you, to trust your information and your website. And that's kind of really, really difficult to achieve. So that's where most of the time brand awareness is super important, because if you are really, really important in your niche and your brand is quite strong, you have your life much, but way much easier, because you don't have to create a specific landing page with a lot of information, because when they see your logo, your brand, it's kind of a stamp that's kind of something that I can trust. Think about the user and think about what they want. Put yourself in the user's shoes. Okay, if you are searching for a product landing page, information, any information, think what you would be expecting to find, what information you as a user would love to see there. And that's kind of information that you should be writing about. So you know the topic, you know that there are demand and there are searches for that keyword or topic. So now it's not about keywords anymore. It's about to create a great experience and answer all the questions that the user has. Um, when you try to solve a query, try to make it quite easy to the user to understand. To only have a lot of content, a lot of information, but with no structure or in a way that the user cannot understand, it doesn't help you, because it will increase the bounce rate. The user experience will be poor, and all those signals to Google will actually damage your rankings. So the user experience, it's really, really important when you are writing. So it's not about the keyword, it's not about the topic, it's not about the information that you have. It's also about the user experience. So that's why we have to think in everything when we are doing keyword research. We have to think if we really can to solve the searcher's query. And if we can do it in a way that is the best way in the market, and the way how we will beat our competitors. Okay. Finally, the, the for me, it's kind of one of the best ways how to do a proper keyword research is to look to the SERP, look to Google result page. Looking to Google result page, we will understand what Google believes is the best page to answer a query. And if we have a module, if we have a template or an idea, what Google believes is the best way to answer a certain query, so we can make it equal or better. And that's exactly what we have to do. Check the first 3 results, the first 10 results, you decide. Usually I do the first or the top 3 results. If you are a local business or you are trying to rank in a specific region, you should check the SERP in that region. Okay, that's really, really important because Google tends to change the results according to regions and cities, not just countries anymore. You can use, for example, the Bright Local tool is what I use, and you can actually enter the search location, and it automatically will put the SERP as it appears in that local. The second step is going to Ahrefs or SEMrush if you have access. I love Ahrefs. They don't pay me to say that, but I love Ahrefs. And you can actually check if that page or for what keyword that page is ranking for. And that's kind of absolutely essential because you will have an idea what keywords and search queries you should be answering on top of your top keyword, main keyword. So you have a topic, you have a main keyword, but now you have secondary keywords that you have to answer as well to be relevant in that niche. And the third step is just copy your competitors' content, paste it in a World Cloud tool, and just check what are the keywords or the words that appear often. That will give you a clear idea what other topics or subtopics you should be mentioned as well, regardless if they have or have not enough search volume. That doesn't matter. Matters to be the best website answering questions and talking about everything to be the expert, the number one in that field. This is kind of my idea in terms of keyword research. And then when you have all of those ideas about main topic, subtopics, words that you have to introduce, then you have to kind of build the structure. So be clear in this structure. Use bullet points. Use a clear structure. So if people don't understand or don't like, they will just go out and increase the bounce rate. And that's kind of terrible for your rankings. Be sure that you don't have tons of copy with long paragraphs. Okay, keep it short, 2-3 lines per paragraph. It's ideal. Okay, you can see here this comparison. You could have the same content in different ways, and you would prefer the left one. Okay, because it's much more clear and easy to read on the web. To have topics and subtopics, it's really, really important, and it's easy. If you are talking about cuisine or kitchen, you can have different types of cuisine on the H2, and the H3 could be the recipe or restaurants or whatsoever. So kind of structure in a way that it's clear to the user and to Google what your site is about. And then internal linking everything, because if you have an orphan page, it's much difficult to rank. So it's not just about the keyword research. You also need to think the full process. You need to understand which pages you have that kind of related with the page that you are creating. So kind of create a structure of links that can help you. Link to relevant page, link to more in-depth guides or content. That's kind of very, very, very important, okay? And use a proper anchor text. I really appreciate your attention, and yeah, if you have any question related with my presentation, I'm really happy to answer you guys. I'm seeing 4 people writing something. I'll be just waiting a little bit. How much time must be spent on keyword research? A question from Luis. Well, it's not about the time. Keyword research is essential. So take the time that you need. I'm 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 always doing keyword research. So a lot of my time is actually doing keyword research. So don't be afraid to spend a lot of time because those are the pillars of your work. So you need to be sure, 100% sure that you are doing a brilliant job there. Because if you are not doing a brilliant job in the keyword research, you can write whatever you want, but you will not be 100% sure that you will get results. If you do it so, if you spend enough time to create a very solid keyword list, so you know what you should be writing about, and you can actually, with the keyword list, track your rankings. So if you don't have a keyword list, if you don't have a keyword research done, so you cannot write the topic, you will be always, every single day, you'll be trying to figure out what you should be writing about. So if you have something structured from the beginning, it helps the entire year. So don't be afraid to spend the time that you need. It could. I already work in some companies that it took us 3 months to do a keyword list. So I know that different uh, companies and size of companies it matters, but I mean, spend the time that you need to do it. So, what about keyword planner? Well, I mentioned PPC data. When I'm talking about PPC data, I'm including keyword planner, but I'm not using keyword planner as a such as a SEO tool. Keyword planner never is not and never was a SEO tool, was a SCM tool, a PPC tool. So yeah, when I'm talking about PPC data, you can use keyword planner, but if you don't have PPC data proper campaigns, and you have to select a tool, and you can actually have a tool. So I rather prefer to have Ahrefs rather than Keyword Planner. But I mean, if you don't have a lot of budget, if you have to actually use a free tool, Keyword Planner can help you. But the free Keyword Planner without PPC data, it will give you a range of search volume, will not give you the proper search volume, which is it's which is irrelevant in a way, because no one knows exactly how many people are searching for a certain keyword. I do have a question. And when TF-IDF and when and how to use it. Pedro Ramos. Pedro, you are you are my friend. Don't ask me what is TF-IDF because I have no idea what TF-IDF is. Can you explain me? I never heard about it, or potentially I did, but not know exactly with those letters. Um, okay. Oh, term frequency. Okay. Um, no, I don't believe it's relevant anymore. I know that uh, people using EOS, the plugin, it counts the time that the keyword is appearing. It's not 100%. I already read a lot of articles say, oh, you should use this size or length of copy, and the number of the keyword should appear 4 times or 5 times. It's not that relevant. I mean, you cannot rank. Actually, you can rank. Actually, you can rank for a keyword without having the keyword in the copy. So that's possible. Okay, I saw that yesterday. So it's possible. So it's not the most important thing. So yes, definitely you should use. Actually, there is a tool, that's the natural language tool from Google, which is, there is a free version. You just can check one copy each time, but that's fine. You can search on Google, and it will give you how Google understand your copy. So try it, and try to understand. It's not about the number of times that the keyword appear, is more where in the sentence the keyword appears. Okay, so yeah, that's it. I'm already running out of my time. Thank you so much for your time here attending this session. I'm really glad to have you here, and I will be calling Christoffer. Christoffer Berg. He is an SEO for 6 years, and is currently heading up an in-house internal and international SEO team at EEF Education First here in London. I can tell you, I learned a lot with him. I really did, especially looking to SEO data in a completely different way. That was quite incredible. His skills with Excel are tremendous. Please welcome our next speaker, a person a person that I really like a lot, Christoffer.
Hello, can you hear me? Well, I hope you can. You have to type in the chat if you can't hear me. Yes, we can. Perfect. Thank you, João, for that very kind introduction. I like you too, by the way. Best to have that said. Also, I found your presentation really interesting. When it comes to semantic stuff, we in our team have just started to trial a tool. I will share the link in the chat. If I can find where I typed there. You can actually try it for free. They have support for Portuguese. And I think it's interesting to try it. But basically, you can use it to analyze how you can, better write relevant content for your pages. You'll have to check it out. And I'm going to try to find my presentation here. Let's see. There we go. Okay, so I think it's a nice follow-up to what João was talking about. So we're going to talk about, once you have your keywords and once you have your keyword list, how you can prioritize better with the weighted keyword visibility score. But first, a little bit about me and what I do. So I head up SEO for EF.com, which is part of Education First. We are a private educational company, and we focus on language, education, travel, cultural exchange. In these times, as you can see in the images, a lot of the experiences that we offer is related to travel. So right now, there's not too much of that going on, as you can imagine, but we try and do what we can to keep the business going. So I'm Swedish. I moved around a little bit. Born in Lund in Sweden, and spent some time in Central America, Zurich, and now I live in London with my wife and my two cats. And I head up we have an in-house team at EF here in London, focusing on everything related to SEO, on-site, off-site. We manage about 65 domains, covering 29 languages. We're a team of about 15 people. And it's great. I've been working in SEO for about 6 years. And one of the first things that I did as a project was to try and figure out this kind of weighted visibility score. When I joined, we as a team, we had our keyword lists, and we tried to look at sort of, which keywords are the most important ones. And that's what we're going to talk about today. So what is a keyword visibility score? It's a metric showing the combined organic rankings for a keyword or a set of keywords in one or many search engines. So what this does is that, instead of looking, keyword by keyword, you can look at a number of keywords and look at what your combined sort of visibility is. And that's and this is nothing that obviously that I came up with. This is a standard way of looking at keywords and rankings. And many of the rank tracking tools that you find have something like this. And we will look at a few different ways of how to how to kind of identify the visibility. So what is it good for? Well, it does help you identify ranking changes across a large set of keywords without having to check your positions keyword by keyword. If you have long lists, you cannot do it. You can't check every keyword every day. You need some kind of combined score to make sense of it and see, are you growing or not in terms of your visibility. It helps you understand changes in traffic and where to improve. So if you have noticed a drop, for example, in traffic to your site, you can also look at your visibility score and look at, have you seen a drop there? Which keywords or which set of keywords, which pages have seen a drop in the visibility? It helps you prioritize which keywords to focus on by optimizing for the biggest visibility impact. And we will talk a little bit more about that. And to kind of exemplify it, we're gonna look at a few similar keywords. The challenge here is that some keywords are usually more important than others. So the big question is, how do you decide how important they are, and what factors should drive the importance? So let's imagine that we are, we run a website and an online cooking school. And maybe we are focusing on, for the time being, 3 keywords to make it not too complicated. So learn to cook, search volume, almost 10,000. You got to maybe think a little bit about the intent behind the keywords when you start to think about how important they are. So the intent behind someone who searched for learn to cook, that could be, researching ways to learn. Maybe they're looking to learn to cook online, maybe locally, physically. Maybe they are looking to learn for free. Maybe they are looking for paid options as well, something that they could buy. It's a very broad keyword. Cooking classes, huge search volume compared to the other 2. And again, it's quite broad. Maybe this is someone comparing different suppliers. Again, we don't know if they're looking for online or local. Maybe they want to go on a cooking trip to learn. Maybe they're looking to learn for free. It's fairly broad, but it also has a potentially very big audience. And online cooking classes, the smallest keyword, but it's matching what we offer the best, I would say, to some extent at least. We still don't know if people who search for this are looking to learn for free, but at least it's very much in line with what we do. And so now that we have the keywords, we have the search volume, and we have some ideas behind what people are looking for, we can start to discuss solutions around creating a visibility score. And the solution is to measure visibility according to your goals. And different websites and different teams have different goals. So let's talk about some of those goals. Maybe your goal is to maximize the rankings. Maybe you don't care about, traffic or value. You just want to get as many keywords as possible to the top positions, regardless how big they are. So the keyword driver here is the position of the keyword, and the visibility type would be a position-driven type. So you wouldn't look at any other factors except the rankings of the keywords. If your goal is to maximize the traffic or the impressions, then your driver should be the demand, so the keyword search volume. So that's a demand-driven visibility type. You don't really care about the intent behind the keywords as long as they are big, so to speak. You just want to get as much traffic as possible, or as many eyes on your search snippet as possible. Finally, maybe your goal is to maximize the value. And maybe value comes from leads or from actual bookings. Maybe you are selling a product on your site. Then the keyword weight driver should be the value of the keyword. So, how much business can a keyword actually bring? And that's not the same as demand behind the keyword. And we will look at that and look at how this changes. When you look at keyword visibility, you also need to decide how much each position is worth. And this is really not the same as click-through rate. The reality is that different keywords will have different click-through rates. And again, that depends on the intent, that depends on your search snippet, your position, the competitors, how many ads, the universal results. It's endless, and it changes over time. But for this visibility thing to work, you kind of need to have a static ladder of saying, number one position is going to have, this and this much value. The number two position is going to have this and this much, and so it scales down. Obviously, the higher, the better. The model that I use goes from 100%, that's number one, that's position one, and then I scale it down by 2 for every position. So that's fairly straightforward. And it's also, I think, not too far from reality. I do think that actual click-through rates changes quite a lot as you just go down from one position to number 2, for example. So I think it works fairly well. So let's look at these 3 keywords now, and let's imagine that we are tracking them over 1 month, so the month of April, and they start off on the same position. So all 3 keywords, I don't know if you can see it, but all 3 keywords are starting on position 3. So, I mean, obviously that's pretty good rankings, but this is just an example to visualize how we can see what type of visibility score we should use for our goals. Cooking classes is then the first keyword to jump to number 1, and it stays on number 1 for 7 days until it goes back to number 3. When it goes back to 3, learn to cook jumps to number 1. And then after 7 days, it goes back to number 3. And finally, online cooking classes goes up to number 1 and then back to number 3. So at the end, we're at the same position as where we started. I hope this makes sense. And obviously, keywords usually doesn't behave this particular way, so exact. But for just for the example, I think it works. So if we have employed a position-driven visibility, this is what your visibility score, your combined visibility score for these 3 keywords would look like. You would start at 25% if you're using my click-through rate or position weight scale, because all 3 keywords are at number 3 when you start, and number 3 is worth 25%. And since we don't take in search demand or search volume or anything like that in the position-driven visibility, it's just a position. So when cooking classes goes up to number 1, remember cooking classes is the biggest keyword from a demand perspective. When cooking classes goes up to number 1, number 1 is worth 100%. You have 1 keyword on number 1, you have 2 keywords on position 3. That gives you an average sort of visibility score of 50%. And as you can see, as the keywords change, one goes from number 1 to number 3, then another keyword goes from 3 to 1, and another keyword goes from 3 to 1. But the visibility score stays the same. So you could argue here that this visibility score doesn't actually tell you much, because it looks like, there was a change in the beginning of April, a positive change. We increased our score, and then at the end of April, we went down again, and it looks like nothing has changed in between. But the reality is that 3 keywords actually went up and down during this time. And I think that, for a very short keyword list, this is not a very useful way of looking at things. I think if you have a big keyword list, it is going to make a lot more sense, because you will notice that maybe when there's been a ranking algorithm update, that you'll find a lot of keywords changing positions, and that's an interesting way of looking at visibility without taking other metrics into consideration. Hope that made sense. Feel free to ask any questions as I'm talking. Demand-driven visibility. So now we're adding the search volume to the visibility score. So this is why you see this huge increase in visibility when cooking classes goes up to number 1. Remember, cooking classes had the biggest search demand of 74,000 searches. So as we start at 25% when all 3 keywords rank on number 3, it goes up to almost 90%. And then it drops when Learn to Cook goes up instead. But Learn to Cook has a much, much smaller search demand, so it has a much smaller impact on the visibility score. And finally, when online cooking classes goes to number 1, the visibility score drops slightly because it has the smallest search volume. The visibility is still higher than it was from the start, but it's not as big as when the biggest keyword goes up to number 1. So if your main goal is to achieve the most traffic, the most kind of impressions on your search snippet, I would say that this is a good way to measure and to prioritize. Finally, this is kind of my favorite, the value-driven visibility, but that's also because, you know, from my team is running, you know, we try and achieve, we're a lead generating team. We're trying to generate business. So when it comes to value-driven visibility, we need to make it a little bit more complicated, but it's also hopefully going to be a little bit more helpful. So with value-driven visibility, we need to, you know, try and figure out how much is the keyword worth. And for that, we can use some other metrics. And you can use Search Console data. You can use PPC data if you have it. There are also other ways if you don't have access to any of that data. Analytics data is not bad. So in this example, we are looking at a few more metrics. You still have search volume, that's still important, but we also look at click-through rate, conversion rate, and booking rate. And that gets a value for the keyword. And as you can see, in this example, if you take learn to cook, it has the lowest click-through rate of all the keywords. It has the lowest conversion rate. It has the lowest booking rate. And so the value is going to be very, very low. Cooking classes has a huge search demand. It has a okay click-through rate, an okay conversion rate, and an okay booking rate. And so it's going to have an okay value. Online cooking classes has a super small search volume compared to cooking classes, but it performs really well because that's exactly what we do. Click-through rate is up to 40%, conversion rate, booking rate. And so the value now, as you can see, is actually the biggest for the smallest keyword in demand. And that's just because we're going to be able to generate more business from users who search for this. So let's have a look at how the value-driven visibility impacts the visibility chart. So when cooking classes, which if you remember is the biggest keyword demand-wise, but not the biggest from a value-driven visibility score, when that goes to number one, it does impact the visibility score positively, but not that much. When learn to cook goes up to number one, it hardly has any impact at all on the visibility score because the value is just very low. It's almost one, just above one. And then online cooking classes, when that goes up to number one, it has a major impact on the score because that's the most valuable keyword. And this is, for at least for our team, I think, again, it depends on your goals. This is what makes sense for us. So this is what we use. And this is how we also prioritize. And I want to talk a little about prioritization. So, if you take the last date of your 3 keywords, remember that all 3 keywords went back to number 3. So which keyword, if we had to choose one of the keywords to push, maybe we push it through content, maybe we push it through link building, whatever. Which keyword should we choose? Well, if you are running a position-driven visibility, then it doesn't matter because they're all on the same position. So you can choose whatever keyword if you just want to get it to number 1. If you're running a demand-driven visibility, you're going to have to choose cooking classes because out of those 3 keywords, that's the biggest gain. But if you're running a value-driven visibility and all 3 keywords are ranking in the same place, you're going to have to choose online cooking classes because that has the biggest value. So that's how you can prioritize. And obviously, if you have a list of 1,000 keywords or 10,000 keywords, this is going to help you just make your life a lot simpler to start prioritizing as long as you have a value of the keywords. I was going to add something. If you don't have the data and if you don't know what the value of your keyword is, you can use the intent and just set a score yourself. You can say, well, this keyword is exactly what I sell. I'm going to give it 10. This keyword is very broad. Some users could be interested in what I sell. I'm going to give it 5. And that's another way of just weighting your keywords. So it doesn't have to be a lot of math or metrics or factors. You can do a much simpler version, as long as you have a good feel for what the keywords are about and what the intent is. So a few more things to think about before we finish off. You need to think about some stuff like classic versus universal rank, because the SERP landscape is changing. Are your visibility score measuring only the classic ranks or the universal ranks? That's something you just have to take into consideration. Seasonality is another factor. Demand changes over time, and are you going to run a small scale versus a large scale list? It's about choosing between how simple you have to make it or complex. And just finally, are keywords dead? Well, I don't think they are dead, because people still search for them, and that's what they are important. So going back to João's presentation, do your keyword research and then figure out how important they are to you. Guys, that was everything. I hope I did it on time. If you have any questions, please let me know. I'll stick around for a while longer, and look forward to the other presentations as well, of course. But thank you. Thank you for having me.
Thank you so much, Christoffer. Really, really pure goal here. Definitely super important to know our keywords and what we are trying to achieve and to reach, and our audience and the way how they are searching on Google. And it's completely interesting the way how you present the visibility score, and it's a way how to measure success. Could be your main KPI, especially for lead generation business or small websites. Definitely a KPI that you should keep in mind. Definitely.
Yeah.
Thank you so much. I'm opening now. Sorry.
Yeah, there are some questions. Do you want me to just address them?
Please.
So they're really good questions. There's one question from Pedro about best practices for organic keywords with conversions. So, and it's also relevant to the next question, which is, how can you get the booking rate of a keyword when you have a page to rank for several keywords? And the reality is that, it's really difficult to get all this data for organic keywords on keyword level. So we look at how the pages perform in terms of conversion rate and booking rate. And usually the pages rank for very similar keywords, at least. Different keywords for sure, but very similar keywords. So in this example, I mean, most likely if we were to rank, with all these three keywords, most likely they would rank probably with the same page, not necessarily. But anyway, we look at the pages, and if we don't have that data, we look at the page search data, because we have a much more clarity there, and we just assume that they're going to perform, similarly for organic search.
There you go. Christoffer, thank you so much.
Thank you for having me.
Was a pleasure to have you here with us. I hope you can enjoy the rest of the conference. Once again, thank you so much.
Will do. Thank you.
Amazing good presentation. A lot of knowledge. Christoffer Berg, he knows a lot of skills, Excel skills. So I invite you to reach him on LinkedIn, add him on LinkedIn. He's a great guy, super nice person, and a lot to teach. So thank you so much, Christoffer. I will re-logging you as a user because I believe you are having some difficulties. Before we move to the next speaker, I have to apologize because I noticed during my my talk that there was a problem with the login. So kind of there was a limit, and it was reached during my my talk, and I couldn't fix it in the time. So as soon as I finished, I fixed. So for those ones who came a little bit late, I'm really sorry. This conference is being recorder is online on YouTube as well right now. So I will share with everyone the link. Then you can assist and attend again on YouTube if you wish. All the decks will be shared in the end. I will try actually to share them here in this platform during the conference, but then in the end we will be sharing through SlideShare most probably. So once again, thank you so much for all of you who are attending here. It's really, really nice to see 66 people attending this first International SEO Web Conference. Our next speaker, Morino Neto, is SEO manager at IKEA Portugal. He has been working in SEO for the past 4 years. Before joining IKEA, Morino was the SEO manager at OutSystem, a Portuguese unicorn in the software industry. He was also SEO analyst at 360 in Premiere, an e-commerce website where I had the pleasure to meet him and where I was his manager. And he has also agency experience as SEO executive. Morino also provides freelance SEO work, collaboration with 4 different projects in affiliation marketing niche. Basically, he is our Portuguese superstar. Please welcome Morino Neto. Morino, I hope you are there. I fail here to give you the mic, but I'm giving you now. Unlock. I can't unlock your camera. I believe you have a problem with your camera. We can see your presentation. Give it. Yeah, your mic and your camera is not working. I will give you access again. So let's see if technology will work and will help us. Here we go.
So can you
Morino,
hear me,
thank you so much.
João?
We can move on.
Hi,
Thank
I'm
you so much, Morino.
sorry, technical issues. Thank you, João, for your kind words. Before I start, let me just let you know that my neighbor here. So I'm working from home, as many of you, I guess, and my neighbor here is doing some repair work.
I guess we lost Morino for a while. Let's see if the broadband connection help us to have Morino back. Let's wait a couple of seconds. We are all of us in quarantine at home. The broadband connection is not the best. Everyone is using internet. I believe we lost Morino. He is actually one of the big SEO stars in Portugal. He's doing a brilliant job in his career, working in SEO, and he's a super motivated guy. It was really, really a pleasure to work with him. So if let's give him some time. If not, we can try to see if Antonis is okay. We have Morino Neto here again. We will give a try. That's a very good tip, Bruno. Switch from Wi-Fi to cable. It's always a very, very good thing to do when you are with lower broadband connection. So Morino Net 1, I believe this is 1. So let's see if we can give him. Okay, here you are.
Can you hear me?
Here we go.
So I was here listening your kind words and speaking, but I think nobody could listen to me. So I apologize about this technical limitation. So about my talk here today, I want to share with you a little bit about international SEO strategy, and mainly how to identify and fix localization ranking issues. So just moving on. So as João mentioned it, I work at IKEA. I'm the SEO manager at IKEA Portugal. For those who don't know, our vision in IKEA, like our business vision, is to create a better life for the many people. and we are, as you know, specialized in home furnishing business. And our SEO strategy supports our vision because it allows us to be there for the user who are searching for like inspiration regarding to home furnishing or like decoration ideas, and also when the user is ready to buy our products. So this is the main challenge for us in terms of SEO, and this is for Portugal, but across all the markets that we operate. That is to be there for the user searching for inspiration and to buy our products. In terms of SEO structure, so we have like a global SEO team that is located in Sweden, and then we have local SEO managers like myself here in Portugal, David in Spain, and other great SEO professionals in other markets that we operate. If you want to understand a little bit more how we are organized as an SEO team, you can just ask me on LinkedIn or even in this chat that I will answer you. I'll be glad to answer all of your questions. So moving on with the presentation, I want to talk to you especially about the biggest challenge of an international SEO strategy. At least for me, this is the biggest challenge, and it is to have the proper page ranking and indexed in the right markets. And why is it important? Why is it an issue? So I have here just 3 examples to show you. Let's think, for instance, a product page. So when we are a company and we have a site in Brazil and a site in Portugal, in the language Portuguese, but trying to target different countries. And a user from Portugal is searching on Google for a product and reach a Brazilian page. So the currency is different, the price of the product is different, and when the user tries to complete his purchase, he won't be able to do that because, like, when he inserts the postal code, the system will crash. So it's really bad for the user in terms of user experience, and it's also bad for the company because the company won't be able to sell the product, so the revenue will suffer a loss. Another example is about customer service pages. So when a user has a problem and he searches on Google about like this branded keyword plus the problem or the contact of this company, and he reaches a page from another country. So the customer service team from this country won't be able to help this user because, like, for instance, the customer service team from Brazil can't help a user that is located in Portugal, and the opposite as well. And also, so for the user, is also terrible experience because he has a problem and this problem won't be satisfied. And another third example is about content pages. So a page that is written in Portuguese from Brazil, with less lack of connection with the Portuguese reader. And the same thing, a page that is in English from the UK has a different, tone of voice than a page that is in English from the US. So it can use different terms or expressions that the user may not understand. So it's really, really important to have the right pages ranking in the right markets. So let's say, for instance, that you have an international business and you know now that it's really important to have the proper page ranking in the right markets, and you want to see if your business is suffering from that. How can you do that? So you can just go to how can you do to identify these ranking issues. You can use the Google Search Console tool, and you just need, so in this example, I'm searching for the site subdomain in Spain, and then you can see all the countries, and you click in the countries tab, and you can see all the countries that this site from Spain is ranking and shouldn't be, because in this case we have a site in Mexico, Argentina, Colombia, and other Latin countries. We not IKEA. This is another project that I work with, a freelance project, but just to give you an example of an issue. And then you want to see really exactly which URL, for instance, from this domain in Spain that is ranking in Mexico. How can you do that? You just click in Mexico, for example, and then in the Google Search Console tool, the country will be filtered from Mexico, and then you click in pages, and then you have all the pages from Spain that is ranking in Mexico. And now you can start analyzing really why is this happening, really the issue for each one of those URLs. Then you can move on and do this same analysis for Argentina, for Colombia, and for other countries. For those who use Google Search Console, you know that this tool has many limitations regarding to exports. So we can just export 1,000 rows. You can't combine different dimensions, so you can't use like country and page. So it's really terrible for doing large-scale analysis. If you can use Python or the API to extract the data like in a faster way, it's great. But like if you are not very technical like myself, I have a tip for you guys, that is to use this add-on that is really perfect for this task. It's called Search Analytics for Sheets. I saw that João mentioned and that we'll be sharing this presentation, so you can just go to this link here and then you download this add-on. So this add-on is really great because it allows us to extract all the data from Google Search Console, and we can combine the different dimensions. For instance, here I'm combining page and country, and then I'm filtering only for the domain in Spain, and I'm excluding all the pages that are ranking in Spain because for the scope of this analysis, this is not important. And then I have here a list, a really big list of all the URLs from Spain that is ranking in other countries and shouldn't be. And now you can see that it's ranking like Argentina, Mexico, Colombia, Chile, Peru, Venezuela. So really, really many countries. And we have lots of things to analyze here. And if we did this analysis using only Google Search Console, it would take forever to export all of this data. So now we know how to identify the issue. We know how to identify the ranking issue. But now, what is causing this issue? How can we identify what is causing the issue and then work to fix that? I have prepared for you guys here 3 examples from my experience that happened to me, the problems that we had, and then the way we fixed that. And just to give you guys some ideas of when you have this issue, how you can approach that, how you can analyze, and how you can try to fix for each one of those common causes. One of them is related to authority, domain or subdomain link authority. Another example is about content quality, and finally one about technical issues. So domain and subdomain authority, this was an issue that I had back in the days when I was working together with João in 360 Imprimir. And what happened is that some product pages from Brazil was ranking in Portugal because the localization method that we used was country code top level domain. So the different markets don't share the link authority. Each market has its own authority, and the Brazilian page received more links, so it was ranking in Portugal as well. And it was really tricky because we had all the problems about having a product page ranking in the wrong country that I mentioned in the beginning of the presentation. To fix that, what we did, so we identified the main products, like the ones that generate the highest revenue, and we improved the page rank of those products. So we did some link building, we did some, increase the internal linkings pointing to those pages, and after a while, like it took 2 to 3 months, but we were able to have the Brazilian page, the Portuguese pages ranking in a higher position than the Brazilian ones here in Portugal. The Brazilian pages were still ranking in Portugal, but as the Portuguese pages were ranking in a higher position, it got the clicks that was what we wanted. So this is a solution when we have a problem for just a few pages. But if you have this ranking issue for many pages and happening across various markets, maybe working on page level will not be enough. So you need to evaluate with your development team if you can implement a different kind of localization. If you have it implemented in a subdomain or country code top level domain, you should evaluate with your developers if it's worth for you guys to implement it in a subfolder mode. So because when the localization is implemented in subfolder, all the markets share the same link authority. So this problem wouldn't have happened. My advice for you guys here is, for instance, the problem that we have with the Spanish site ranking in other countries. What you could do is, like, if you are from Mexico, you can choose 2 to 3 pages from Mexico, improve the page rank of those pages, like link building, internal links, and then if you see that the Mexican pages starts to outrank the Spanish pages, then you'll be sure that it was a link related problem, and you can just be confident to ask your developers to switch the localization mode to subfolder, because you'll be sure that the problem will be fixed. Another example, this is one example from one challenge that we have in my freelance work. So as you mentioned, I work with affiliation marketing as well. And what happens here is that we receive pages in English, template pages in English, then we perform localized keyword research, and we publish these pages in Brazil and Portugal, because we have a site for each country. What happens very often is that we optimize the Brazilian page. We are always improving titles, meta descriptions. We sometimes include images, videos. We improve some paragraphs of the page. So we are always improving the page from Brazil, but we forget the page from Portugal. And what happens is that the Brazilian page starts to be more relevant and starts to rank in Portugal as well. So we had an example. The page was like the best smartphone for 2019. So this was the page that we had in Portugal, 2019 in the title, and the content was outdated. And the Brazilian page was about 2020 and had the content was up to date to the current year. So the Brazilian page started to rank in Portugal, and it was like an issue for us to fix that. So we just we didn't need to reinvent the wheel. So we just applied the same content template for the Brazilian page. We applied it in the Portuguese page, but we just localized the content, making sure that we use the local keywords and that the content is updated, but also relevant for the local readers. And the third, this was a technical issue that we had in IKEA very recently, and it was about, so we are an enterprise level company. So we have a CMS, and sometimes countries have different versions of the CMSs. So for instance, we implement a new version in some countries, and then in a second phase, we implement this version in other countries. And recently, the new version of the CMS had one issue that was related to the rendering of part of the content of product pages. So some product pages, Googlebot wasn't able to render the information about, like, for instance, relevant information like the product description, the product size, the product weight. So it was really bad, because it was like, for Google, this content doesn't exist. So what happened is that some markets that have implemented this new CMS, those pages started to be de-indexed from Google or started to lose rankings. And when we implemented this new version here in Portugal, and I was doing the analysis, so I have identified this rendering issue, and I worked together with our global team, Manuel from our global team, to really, we used all these tools like Google Search Console tool, mobile friendly test tool, and view rendered source add-on to really identify, okay, this issue is related to rendering. So we needed to fix the front end to make sure that Googlebot can render that content properly. And then once Googlebot can render, it can index that content. So it's fixed now, and we are now seeing our pages started to rank again in the different countries. But so it was a technical limitation that causes some de-indexation and some pages from other countries to rank in those countries that have implemented this new version of the CMS. So this was just like 3 examples of problems and how we fix that. If you have any doubts or if you want me to get in more details, you can ask me here or in LinkedIn, and I'll be glad to answer you guys. So I just want to give you some more recommendations regarding to international SEO. So please don't forget to implement hreflang tags. This is really important. So you can implement it in the sitemap, in the HTML code, even for PDF files, you can implement it in the HTTP header. But it's really important you provide this information to Google. So this page is from Portugal, is in Portuguese from Portugal, and should rank in Portugal. And this page is in Portuguese and should rank in Brazil. It's really, really, really important to give this information to Google. Another tip that I have for you guys, this was like a suggestion also from Manuel from our global team, that is to implement the NAP, like the name, address, and phone number in the footer or in the top of our pages. And what happens here is that for Google, it's really clear. Okay, this page should rank in Brazil, in Portugal, or UK. So you really make this clear for Google. I used it to do this technique for local SEO in the past, but it works really, really well for international SEO. Another thing that you can do is to add the country name in the title, description, and the copy of the pages. So if you identify that you have some serious indexation issues, you can really say, okay, this page is just for Brazilian users or for Portuguese users. You can always do that as a solution when all the other things doesn't work. And finally, don't forget to have pages with unique and localized content for your local readers. So just to wrap up, I think, like in this presentation, I think I hope I was able to show you the importance of having the right pages ranking in the proper countries. And when this happens, when we don't have the right pages ranking, it can have multiple causes. It can be related to links, it can be related to the localization method, it can be related to content, also technical issues, and many other causes. So sometimes it's not easy to identify where the problem is. Sometimes we are like 2 to 3 hours doing an analysis and we can't identify the problem. So my suggestion for you guys here is, like here in IKEA, I always ask the people from the global team, I talk with other local SEOs to ask for support. But if you don't have an SEO structure like the one we have here in IKEA, my advice for you guys is like, go to the community, like go to Twitter, go to forums to ask for help. You can even ask John Mueller to support you on that, because it's really important for your company to have the pages ranking in the proper countries. And finally, once you have identified the issue and what you think to be the best solution for the issue, collaborate with your team to implement and then to measure the results. Because sometimes we identify the issue and we implement what we think to be the best solution, but it doesn't work. So you need to try again or to try a different approach. So always work with your team to measure and to implement and then to measure the results. So thank you guys. I'm really sorry for the technical issues from the beginning of the presentation. I hope it was useful for you, and I'll be glad to answer all of your questions.
Thank you so much, Morino. Really, really interesting, because Andrea Freitas, he was here saying that's kind of a deja vu, and it is. All of us SEO who are working in international websites, at some point we are facing these issues. So, and it's really, really challenging when Google pick up a different canonical from a different domain, and that's kind of the worst case scenario possible. So your tips are really, really interesting. An APA really, really important. If you can insert your address, the name of the country somewhere in the page, that's kind of unique, and it helps Google to better understand. So any question to Morino? I don't believe Morino is saying that he's losing me, so probably he's losing his connection again. I will share the information with him after this presentation. Well, thank you so much, Morino. We have to move. We are a little bit late now. We will have now our next speaker. I work with him, not exactly together in the same team, but in the same building. Antonis, he has a lot of experience in different fields and websites. He actually is the SEO. I'm still seeing Morino here, but I believe now I can share the Antonis camera. I hope so. Morino is freeze. Antonis, he has the head of SEO of EF English Live, a platform to learn English online with real teachers. Antonis worked previously for companies such as TransferGo or Poker Stars. So everyone knows Poker Stars. Antonis and I, we used to have a chat, our own personal chat, just to share everything that we tested, sharing all kind of information about SEO is truly a motivator. Our next speaker, Antonis Con. I hope Antonis is ready. Just waiting for Antonis to unlock the camera and the mic. It's the bottom on. It's on the bottom of your square where you are seeing your face. You just have to turn it on. He's asking 2 seconds. In the meantime, once again, guys, we are recording this session. We will be sharing the link on YouTube with everyone in the end and all the decks. During the talks, please just ask, make some questions. In the end, everyone will be really happy to answer you guys. I'm hoping Antonis will be joining us soon. Here you go. Hey, how are you doing? You have to turn on your mic. We can't hear you. It's in the bottom next to the camera. That's the camera. You turn it off. Rodrigo, o link está no LinkedIn. Se fores ao LinkedIn, à minha página, eu já partilhei o link do YouTube, ok? Let's see if we can connect Antonis. This is live event. Thank you so much, Jessica. Here we go. Jessica share on the chat the YouTube link with everyone. So it's live there. It's uncut, so you will see some uncut version in the beginning. I will remove it after. Well, if Antonis can't join us, let's see if we have Marco, and then we can try Antonis after Marco, just to keep it more fast and engaged. Marco Bono is typing, so yeah, I will call Marco if you're ready. Yeah, okay. So let's jump with Marco and try to come back with Antonis after Marco. Let me just call here Marco. Give me just 1 second. I wasn't prepared for this change. So Marco, I will make you presenter, unlock your camera and your mic. And yeah, so let's present Marco. He's here in London as well, working for an agency. He's an SEO speaker and specialist involved in SEO strategy planning and technical SEO for e-commerce and recruitment websites, focusing on the UK market. Marco is also an avid reader and digital marketing advocate, contributing to websites such as Search Engine Land and Search Engine Watch. So I'm 100% sure that you already read a couple of texts from Marco. When he's not busy building new skills, he is enjoying traveling, photography, and exploring London's secret spots. To say hello to Marco, either send a tweet at Marco Bonomo SEO or visit his website, marcobonomo.co.uk. Ladies and gentlemen, Marco.
Hello, can you hear me? Can everybody hear me? Yeah, perfect. So let's start with the presentation, so we should be able to share with you. So hopefully everybody is able to see my slides. So let's go to the So first of all, a quick introduction about myself. As João said, I've been working in digital marketing for a while now. I've been working with mainly agency side, working for agencies based in London, in the UK, all since 2015. What is most interesting is that I've been I got an experience. I got a past as a recruiter, so I really used to be in love with all the profession as a recruiter, and I used to work for this huge American company called Manpower. This was a few years ago, but still, part of the online business recruitment and all of this. Since also a contributor of a search engine land, I recommend you to have a look at this guide. So I published just a few months ago this guide about Google for Jobs, which basically is summing up all my knowledge about the topic. We're talking about what is Google for Jobs, the kind of perks you have if you join, if you try Google for Jobs with your company, how to set it up, what about the schema markup, and how to improve the performance with the job ad copy, title, and all these kind of things. But let's not wait anymore, and let's jump straight into my top 10 tips about how to master Google for Jobs. So first of all, the main one is about keyword search. So one of the main things in Google for Jobs is that you need to be careful, as per a normal page on your website. You need to be really, really careful about how you craft your job ad. For example, if you're a company, you're an agency, you're looking for an SEO consultant, don't call SEO consultant with SEO guru, SEO super wizard, or SEO planner, or some other ones. First of all, you need to make sure that basically you need to talk the language of the people. So first of all, perform the keyword search. For example, here on the left, you can see SEO Planner has got a very, very weak low volume, like 200 keywords per 200 searches per month, where at the same time, SEO Consultant is much, much, much bigger. So to identify exactly what people are looking for when they want to apply for new jobs and to appear very, very high on the rankings on Google for Jobs, first recommendation: just be sure that you do the homework and you perform a really good keyword search. Second one is about the copy, the job ad itself. So the first thing you need to make sure is the job title has to be really clear, really concise. So don't put any acronyms. If you're looking for a vice president, don't put VP. If you're looking for an account director, just put AD. Don't put AD. Just put all the full name. Same for all the kind of jobs you might look for your company. So avoid any acronyms. Google is still able to understand all of this, but probably your rankings, they're not going to be as good as you wish. So if you want to have a full, really good performance in Google for Jobs, my recommendation is that just to keep it very, absolutely very simple. Another thing I recommend to do is about the job ad itself. So, for example, here we got a list of things to add to the job ad. Obviously, you can see something that you should be able to see in each job ad when you apply for a position. For example, the role description, responsibilities, skills, company intro, something like that. But to rank really, really high in Google for Jobs, best is to provide as many information as possible. For example, if you got desirable skills, just add them. Company information, talk about your company in a much wider way. If you got some information like working hours, salary, benefits, all this kind of information, they're really good if you want to reach top rankings. So all of these it's basically the first ones are kind of mandatory if you want to appear. But if you gather all this kind of information, then you're going to have a really, really good chances to appear to rank very high in Google for Jobs. Another thing to consider is my tip number 4 is the location. Because when we're looking for when Google is serving the ads to the people that are looking for jobs, for example, if you live like in London, in central London, you're going to be served first all the companies that are they publish the ads, they put in the schema markup, the like central London location. So the closer you are to the job, to the schema markup that you put the address, the better. So when you publish a job ad, probably the best thing to do is just to put down like the street number, the postcode, and all the information that you need to provide more information to Google to provide that particular ad to the person most suitable for the job. We need to consider here something also things about like commuting. For example, you don't want a person like living like 2-3 hours away to apply for your job. It would be just a waste of time for both the company and the candidate. So talking about location, it's always a really, really good idea to put all the best information, all the most complete information to the job ad. But now, obviously, we're working in a very challenging times. So these are recommendation has been published on the Google website, the guidelines like recently. So let's say that you're a company, you're just hiring remotely at the moment. So the best thing to do is if you want to switch from like obviously people coming into the office, stuff like that, you can do it. You can expand it to as a remote job. This option was available also like before the crisis, but you can now set the location as well. So for example, if you put job location type telecommute, it's perfect. So it's going to be served as a remote job for all the people like in the world. They're looking for that particular jobs. But if you want to serve the ad to a very specific location, for example, a specific country, you can just add this line of code in the schema markup, which is application location requirements. For example, if you want just people that's living in your own country for tax reasons, or like, if you got like, different policy in your company, you can like narrow the way the job ad is served in Google for Jobs. So it is a really good recommendation from Google, which is, quickly adapting to the times we are living at the moment. Another thing that I experience working on many clients in Google for Jobs is that there is a thing to consider when basically we are like publishing the ad. So you're going to receive a kind of like a quick boost when you're going to publish when your job ad is fresh, basically. So the best thing to do is if you're still looking for that person, is that to write a script where basically it's going to republish every like 30 days. So most of the job boards are doing that. And if you're working like in-house, or if you're like a consultant for a company, you can use this recommendation to appear, to have the rankings always very high when you're publishing job ad. Also, another thing to consider, and this is tips number 7, is about the expired listings. So let's say you're publishing something, and then you find a person, and then the job ad is still live. So Google at the beginning didn't really accounted for this. So it's the first month they just had like an awful lot of like job ads stay there. So the ad was visible on Google for Jobs, people clicking, but they just went to they're being redirected to a 404 page, which is obviously against really bad for user experience. So what they've done is that they became really, really strict about all of this. So if you publish a job ad, it has been good enough for Google for Jobs to be picked. The recommendation is that if you find that person, just take the page away or remove the job posting schema markup. these are both solutions that Google is happy with both of them. So my recommendation to avoid a manual penalty is probably a really good thing to do it like straight away. So this is another good recommendation. Dealing is more like management of all the job ads, but definitely a thing to consider. Now we can go down to the reporting. So talking about Google for Jobs, everything Google did a really, really great job in all of this. Because, for example, here the slide you can see is that I had a client with about like 90 job ads. So they were looking for 90 different figures. The problem is that when I started, I had lots of errors. Obviously, at the beginning, it's more kind of like a live and learn practice. And then you get down to warnings, which are okay. You can still rank very well, even if you got warnings. And then obviously you want to fix all of these to get all green as the example. It's all due to the schema markup. Basically, obviously the less you do all errors, warnings, the better is going to appear on Google for Jobs. It is all in Google Search Console, so it's very, very easy to find. You can very, very easy to report in all of this. Another thing to consider, apart from the Google Search Console, is the traffic on analytics. So analytics is basically it's probably your best way to keep track of what is going on with all your job ads through Google for Jobs. The only thing you need to remember is that you should filter. So there is this kind of like keyword you should remember: Google Jobs Apply. Just copy and paste this one and put it as a filter in as a view in Google Analytics. So basically, it is a like really good way to track both application and traffic. And Analytics is already really, really good at tracking all of this. So there is also always a way to keep really good track accounts to be accountable for how good this channel is performing. And finally, my last recommendation is about Google Data Studio, because I will say basically Google Analytics is providing you all the information you need. So you got for example, where the person was sending the application, clicking on the Google for Jobs, things about how many people click on the job ad, how many people applied. So all this information are freely available on Google Data Studio. I build a few dashboards for my clients. They're quite easy to set up. To be honest, it will not take more than a few minutes to set up a dashboard. And this is probably going to be really helpful for on the reporting side. Also, you want to track how you're performing. So you can, once you start, being more familiar with Google Analytics, Data Studio is definitely the next step. So once you monitor with Google Search Console and Data Studio, you probably got all the tools you need to perform really, really good in Google for Jobs. And that's all. So thank you very much for the attention. Hope you let me know if you got any questions.
Thank you so much, Marco. I actually have. I'm not saying in the chat, but I have a couple to you actually, because when we are talking about Google for Jobs, I'm not 100% sure, but I believe this feature doesn't exist in Portugal, but exists, for example, in Brazil. We have a lot of Brazilian audience and people here attending this conference, and also in Spain, I believe. Am I correct?
It should be. Well, they tried for about 1 year in the US. And then I think in July 2018, they roll out to most of the countries. And definitely like Europe, Italy, Spain, probably pretty sure. Maybe I never tried with Portugal actually, but it's very simple. Just look for like something like SEO manager jobs once you're in Portugal, and you're going to see straight away if it's there or not.
And are we talking about that any company? For example, I have my company, and I have my HR department, and we want to internally advertise to everyone in our website. So what you are talking about, that's we should be doing that, not just for agencies. It's a kind of everyone. If you have a job and you want to advertising and to have a feature on Google, you should be doing that, right?
Yeah, so basically I would say probably the main reason why I'm so passionate about Google for Jobs, being also like having an experience as a recruiter, is that Google really provided in-house SEOs, marketers with the silver bullets to beat any job board, any recruitment agencies, because you can do all of that for free. So if you're a big company, let's say that you're a huge company, like you got a supermarket chains, or you're a big retailer in the UK, we're probably talking about you're probably spending job ad spending. Probably we're talking about $250,000 every year in LinkedIn, all the job boards. So there is a really huge potential of savings if you're using Google for Jobs properly, and there is nothing that can stop you to do that. So even if you got a website with 5 pages, you can add a 6th page with Google for Jobs and rank number 1 and get all the applications you want.
That's amazing. That's amazing. Great tip, great presentation. Marco, thank you so much to be here. For those who doesn't know, Marco should be in Brighton, but seems like this year.
In October. October. Should be in October now.
Is it confirmed?
Is it confirmed? Hopefully, we're going to be able to run it, as business usual. Hopefully.
So you already know, guys. If you want to travel to Brighton SEO conference, you will have the opportunity to meet Marco there. Marco, once again, thank you so much.
Thank you, João. Cheers.
So let's try Antonis. Antonis that had a problem with the sound. I believe it was the Bluetooth. It wasn't connecting. So I will call Antonis. Antonis, head of SEO for EF English Live, is working for many years in the SEO industry. Among the companies EF, also PokerStars, and a lot of experience, and he loves to test everything. It's kind of I love this guy because he tests everything he does. So well done. Antonis, can you hear me? I can see that you are there. You are in the dark, so you should you have to connect your camera. Let's see if we can have Antonis. Antonis, we can't see you. In the meantime, Pedro is saying that PokerStars might be fun for link building. That's definitely the gambling industry. It is based pretty much in the link building, isn't it? It's a very interesting niche where it's not just about the content, it's a lot about links, and it's really difficult and challenging to get links, and all the laws behind in the way how you can and cannot do link building and do PR. That's a very interesting game, definitely for SEO, professional SEOs working for gambling industry. So yeah, and I know that Pedro, for those who doesn't know, Pedro is our mastermind in link building. Is great. He's Portuguese and he's working in London as well. Antonis, I can't see you. I will try to reconnect you and give. So I will re-log in Antonis. Definitely, I love Antonis' presentation, and I'm really hopefully that we can have Antonis here because he will present about schema markup, and we heard Marco earlier talking about schema markup and the importance to actually to gain the SERP, not just in an organic way, but in nowadays Google is playing a lot with features, and we have to be there to get more traffic and more visibility. So Antonis, we are here. We go. I'm finally so happy to hear your voice. So here we go. I will push your presentation in the meantime because we still have the last one here. So thank you so much for joining us, Antonis. Antonis will be speaking about schema markup.
Thank you very much, and really apologize for all the problem. I just realized how important it is maybe to use Google Chrome than Mozilla Firefox in this case. So yeah, whenever you have those kind of issues, just just try different things and you will find a solution. But anyway, I'm going to talk about schema markup at this point. Apologies for the delay, and just a couple of quick things about me. My name is Antonis Konstantinidis. I am from Greece, even if I'm living in London for a couple of years now. I have worked a lot in gaming, and I have almost 10 years of experience in companies like Betfair and PokerStars, and another Greek company called Stichiman when I was back there. I worked also in money transfers in TransferGo, and since 2017 I'm working in EF English Live. As João said, we're working in the same building, similar office, and yeah, I've been there now for a couple of years, and I'm going to talk to you about my favorite subject in the last few years in terms of SEO. Schema.org. So we're going to talk about a little bit more in detail about what schema is and how it can help you. Before we go that, I would like, I will become a little bit theoretical right now, philosophical, sorry. And I'm going to ask you to think about what is the purpose of an SEO manager. What is your purpose when you're doing SEO in your company? Because I found out this terminology that I really liked about what an SEO is and what he can do. Because I believe that our job as SEOs is to help search engines understand our content better by building experiences that present those data that we have properly online. And it's really important that we work and we do it. Maybe sometimes we don't realize it, but what we do is to try and present the data that our companies have, the content, everything, to present it in a way that everyone understands, both users and search engines. And that was the reason why schema.org was born a couple of years ago. Schema.org is a collaborative community activity with a mission to create, maintain, and promote schemas for structured data on the internet. So building and promoting structured data on the internet, and it is a community that is backed by the biggest search engines around the world, which is really important in our case, since we are working for that specific reason. So to make it a little bit more clear, when we're talking about schema, we're talking about a code that wraps around different elements of your website. And the main purpose of that code is to provide additional information to the search engines. So those data, that code is referred to as structured as opposed to unstructured. Basically, it's another way to validate to search engines what you are talking about. Because as much as search engines are really highly equipped and they do understand what you're talking about, they do understand the content, they do need an additional layer of information. They do an additional help in order to validate that their assumption is correct. So that's what structured data is doing. It's validating their assumptions and makes them understand that what they are assuming about the content is totally correct. Now, I didn't went into much detail on my presentation how to get structured data, because it's I believe It's something that it's really, really easy to do. And I'm talking about it is really easy because I'm not a big a programmer. I do not know how to code anything. So if I can do it, if I can properly apply structured data on a website, I'm sure you can do it also. So you can find the appropriate structured data that you could use for your website, either by going on schema.org or on developers.google.com. There are different data that you can use depending whether you have a recipe website or you have an educational website like we do in EF English Live. And the code is ready. It's ready, and it's easily you can take it from Google. You just change the various information to your website to what applies to you, and you can apply it on your website. Now, if you have a website that's on WordPress, you have a lot of plugins that are doing that automatically. If your website is in any other kind of CMS, usually you just put the code on the head tag of the page, or you can ask one of your developers. It's literally just a minute of their time. And after you do that, you need to test it that it works properly. Google has a tool. If you search for Google Structured Data Testing Tool, you will find it, where you can apply the code and see whether it's working properly or not. Some of those structured data that I have used are over here. It's about FAQ, articles, recipes, breadcrumb, courses, review, and lately speakable structured data. So there are various various structured data that you can use, and again, I encourage you to go and search for them in developers.google.com. And there are a lot of them that you can easily use them on your own personal website to test, or to your or to the company that you're working for. But more specifically, I'm here right now to talk to you about my personal favorite that I've been using for the last few months, and it was a code, a structured code that caused a lot of discussions also internally, but also in the SEO community. So basically, it's about FAQ schema. So FAQ schema is code that it's properly you can use to properly mark up your FAQ content and make it eligible to have rich results on the SERPs. So essentially, it's doing what you can see on the screen. So if you have any FAQ questions on the page, and if you don't have, maybe it's a nice opportunity to add some, because it gives different additional information to the users on easily to answer some questions that the main content is not answering. But also, if you can use it, it gives you the ability to improve the visibility of your website in the SERPs. And that is the most important thing that you can get at this point, because when we are fighting to improve rankings in SEO, any visibility, in my opinion, that you can gain, any percentage that you can gain more in the SERPs, it's really important, because using that you can increase your click-through rates, and you can increase the possibility that a user can click on the result and visit your website. Now, the problem is that when you do that, a lot of people in the SEO community were fearing that if you can provide those answers to the user, maybe you won't get enough traffic. Maybe users will get the answers that they want during the search, and maybe they will not click on the result. And there is a lot of there are a lot of thoughts in the SEO community that people that they're using the schema, they are just giving more data to Google. Now, there's always two opinions on that, and in my opinion is that if Google is giving you an opportunity to get more visibility on the SERPs, you really need to try it. You really need to test it, and you really need to use it on your website, because that's what we are trying to do. We're trying to get more visibility, and we're trying to get more visibility on the SERPs and see if it works. Because you might use it for your website and it doesn't provide the necessary results. So that's what it's good for SEO. Sometimes it's so fluid that what works for some website doesn't really necessarily means that it works for another one. But you really need to test it and see whether that brings a result for your website or for your company. So having that in mind, we did test that both internally and using some of my personal websites to see whether using a FAQ schema or any other schemas on a website will bring any results to the company. So what did we find out? After testing FAQ schema on various properties, we did see in some keywords an increase of traffic up to 34%. Sometimes in specific pages, we even saw an increase in leads up to 46%. However, in no keyword where we used FAQ schema did we see a drop in traffic. The worst case scenario, what happened in every website that I used this schema was to see traffic to remain similar and to remain flat. That doesn't work in combination, however, with other schemas. So if you have any reviews and you want to put it together with FAQ, I haven't seen at any point that happening. If you have managed and done that, please let me know. And the last one is that obviously in order for those schemas to appear, you need to mainly be in page 1 and on the top level between positions 1 and 6 in order for those schemas to appear. Because if you are in page 2, most probably you will not see them appearing. Lastly, and again, I'm conscious about the time since I was already late. The last thing that I would like to say about schemas is that you shouldn't implement the schema markup expecting that you will see an increase in organic rankings. In theory, if you have, if you do things on your website that will improve the click-through rates, that will provide a boost in rankings. However, that will happen after some time, and it's not something that you can easily correlate. So if you're thinking implementing FAQ schemas or any other schema on your website, please do so, but do not look whether it's successful or not after them. If you see any increase in rankings or not. Schema will provide you more visibility, will provide you initially better traffic, hopefully, and rankings, as we all know, do come after a couple of weeks, months, or even more. So again, apologies if I was running around with a presentation and I was speaking a little bit faster. I was conscious about the time, and and the fact that I was already late. I'm looking on the questions right
Was
now.
an amazing presentation. Thank you so much, Antonis. And yeah, we still have a couple of minutes, and definitely this was one of those presentations that people here in the chat came and say, yeah, I'm testing it, trying to different markups, trying to combine FAQ with reviews. So trying to actually, you can, if you have a product, you can have reviews to that product and have the stars on the SERP, in the SERP, and at the same time to have 4 questions there. Something that you didn't mention, Anthony, but it's a question for you. So when you have the FAQ, do you have a link in the end of the FAQ in order to get traffic from the question, or are you not implementing any link to get traffic from the question?
Well, I have tried it in various different pages, and if it makes sense, yes, I do add a link. But as always, with SEO, it's always easy to overdo it. So if I have 4 questions, I try to do at least one link in order to drive traffic internally, and I think it's a better way in order to increase click-through rates. But I don't do it. I try not to overdo it. I can see that Felipe has managed to do FAQ and reviews, so I'm really happy with you, Felipe. I will definitely contact you after this session's over. And schemas are relatively new, and they are so fluid and ever changing, which something I find it really exciting, because something that works right now doesn't really work after a bit.
Yeah, definitely. There is something that I'm being tested, that is to have a read more link in the end of the FAQ, and when you open the question, actually you have the answer, and then you have a link to read more. And actually, I have a query string there, so I can track on Google Analytics or our internal system how many people clicked in that specific link. So that's something that you guys can test at home. There is a question from Nello. Is a question: what about to have different schemas? So breadcrumbs and FAQ. One of them in microdata, and the other one with JSON LD. Please, if you want to answer this one, you can.
Yeah, I think I agree with Andre. JSON is the main way that I use in order to implement schemas right now. And I think a couple of weeks ago, Google suggested that that should be the main way that you should implement JSON. And they stopped supporting microdata, if I remember correctly, a couple of weeks ago. So yeah, definitely, if you have different schemas, JSON will be the way to go going forward.
Yeah, if you have both today, it still works. So Google just stopped to support a library from Google. So one very specific one. But if you have microdata and on the Search Console, you don't see any error, so that you are absolutely fine. But definitely Google prefer JSON, and yeah, in my opinion, it's much easier to implement JSON.
Yeah.
So yeah, just go for it. So no having further questions. Anthony, thank you so much
Thank you
for
very
your
much.
time.
Thank you very much for having me here, and again, apologies for the technical errors. But yeah, if anybody needs any more information about that, feel free to reach out in LinkedIn. I'm more than happy to chat.
Here we go. Thank you so much once again, Anthony.
Thank you. Bye.
And here you go. A lot of tests here. That's something that we as SEO should have in mind, that test everything. There is nothing that we shouldn't test, or pretty much nothing. So if you want to test a meta title, you should test. If you want to test different schemas, you can do a A/B test. But test is the basis of our work. We need to understand the impact, the full impact. If you want to have a different internal linking, you should test. So my advice is like, don't do just because you believe so, or because you read, or just because we are saying here that for us is not working or it's working. Each website is one different website. Okay, so as SEO managers, as SEO professionals of SEO, you are responsible for your work. And this kind of conference and all the readings online, they are, or they should be seen as a guide. Okay, so ideas like, let's try this, let's test, but you should test everything you do. And that's kind of the major mistake that most of the time I see is people saying, oh, I will be doing this because I read, or oh, I will not implement because I read something that said that it is not good. So just test. Select a couple of pages, select a servlet on your website, and test it. Like worst case scenario is a huge drop and you stop the test, and well, and now you know. In the next step, you already know that you can't test that, or there is something in the test that you should avoid. So yeah, and schema, especially in the schema world, uh, you have so many options, especially now that we are on quarantine. You have the chance to put your website there in front of the users, because everyone is in the need to have things at home or to buy things without leaving their homes. So actually, this virus is, at least in Portugal, and our audience is a majority from Portugal. Uh, my feeling is this situation, this virus, is making much more things for the digital industry and the digital marketing in Portugal, rather than anyone else in the last 10 years. Everyone is creating a website now, so the demand is there. SEO professionals are needed, and so let's bring those concepts to a website, test it, and if you are responsible for more than one uh, website, you will see that something that you test in one website can or cannot work in a different way in the other website. So have that in mind, bear that in mind, because it's really, really important to test everything. Pedro said that thank God we have Amazon Prime in the UK. That's true, but it's not just Amazon. There are dozens of others, but Amazon is growing a lot. That's true. In Portugal, you still have a lot of room to improvement. The same in Brazil, in different areas. In Spain, it's a little bit different. We have a couple of people attending from Spain. Amazon in Spain is also a big player. But I mean, if you are a local business and you need to go online, go online. If you are here to get ideas, just bear in mind that if you don't know, to hire a professional of SEO is really, really important, because a good professional of SEO will give you the money that you are looking for. If you don't implement SEO techniques in the right way, it's a waste of time. It's just that, it's a waste of time, because you will not be ranking as soon as you would like. You will not be ranking potentially never. So yeah, let's move on, because I'm really glad with the next speaker is fantastic. I had the pleasure to have a previous webinar a couple of months ago with him. He came from Brazil, so for our Brazilian audience, he is a very, very well known name. Also for the Portuguese audience, I know that Filipe Bazon is Chief SEO Officer at Hedgehog Digital, a digital marketing agency based in Cornwall, UK, with offices in Bedford, UK, and São Paulo in Brazil. Since 2015, Filipe Bazon is listed as the top 3 SEOs in Brazil, having won the title in 2015. With over 10 years of experience in SEO and content marketing, Felipe managed over 100 SEO projects for multinational companies in Brazil, UK, and Europe. Please welcome Felipe Bazon. I will call you because I lost him. Was my mistake. Here you go. Felipe, thank you so much, because I know Felipe is in Brazil. and it's, I believe it's noon there. So, and he's been attending since this morning. So thank you so much for your time and to have the opportunity to share your presentation with us.
Hi, guys. Pleasure to be here. Nice introduction. Bom, boa tarde para quem é de Portugal, né? Para os brasileiros. Buenas tardes para os espanhóis. Bueno, I was chatting with Filipe and was asking with João, should I speak in English? Should I speak in Portuguese? But I think in respect to all the other speakers, everybody talked in English, so I'll be doing my presentation in English. So yeah, without much further ado, because I know we have a short time here, so I try to put my presentation in this 20 minutes that João put down to us. I'm gonna be doing a little different from the other guys, which I'm gonna share the screen. And how do I do that? Oh, if not, I can.
Your left.
Can you help me, Felipe?
Yeah.
João?
Left sidebar, you have the AV view, the presentation view, and a whiteboard. And after the whiteboard, the 4 icon that is screen sharing. Can you find it? On your left sidebar.
Left side, hang on.
4 icon from the top.
There we go.
Have the presentation already.
I'm quite new to this, so I will learn, guys. So, okay, I think now we're there. Yeah, can you see my screen? Oh, can you just confirm it? Can you see the screen, João? Hello? Did I miss you guys?
Yes, we can.
Yes. Okay, good. Sorry, I saw the chat now. So we always have little technical problems. So my idea here is to bring up to you guys an approach that I've been taking since last year around how to talk SEO with the C-levels, how to present SEO in a way that we avoid all the technicalities and we can speak to a marketing manager, to a director, and that serves for you guys that work in-house as well, when you need to get a bit more budget and put some things together that avoid all the technicalities, like Antonis just put a really nice presentation together about schema, structured data. And my feeling is with 14 years experience in the industry, I've learned a lot that when we go to the C-level or to the managers, to the directors, if we overcomplicate things, if we talk too much SEO, they either fall asleep in the table or they don't pay any attention. We end up not getting anything out of it. So this presentation is aimed to, you see that I will talk very little about SEO, but obviously there's a correlation into it and how I applied this methodology to almost every aspect of the SEO projects that we run at Hedgehog Digital. So what we're going to cover here today, what is this marketing and measurement plan? What is it for? Where it's normally used? Then how we're going to apply this to the M&M plan, as I call it, to SEO. Some examples. And I prepared, if I reckon I'll have the time, 2 bonuses, like our workflow and the project scheduling that we normally use. And one of the things that I see, and I still see a lot of people asking us, either in the UK or here in Brazil or in most SEO projects, is how can you estimate the growth? How much can we grow with SEO? And I've developed this methodology, which for some of you might be very simple. I've also will share a template spreadsheet with João, with Felipe can share with you guys afterwards, which we can project that and estimate the growth in an SEO project before we start it. So without much further ado, let's get cracking. So this phrase from Avinash Kaushik really caught my attention when I followed this guy for quite some time now, read his book, Web Analytics 2.0, and he says that the biggest failure, the biggest cause of failures in digital marketing campaigns is not the lack of creativity, or it is the lack of a proper and structured plan, a structured thinking around it. So most of the times, our SEO project or our general marketing project might not go well because it's not because we weren't creative, the messages weren't good, because we did not plan well. And this guy, developed this methodology, which is the marketing and measurement plan. He calls now the marketing measurement model. He recently renamed it, but it could be plan, it could be model. And for those of you who doesn't know Avinash, he is one of the most brilliant minds in digital marketing nowadays. If you don't follow him, I recommend signing up for his newsletter. He is a Google Analytics or Web Analytics evangelist. He's like a Google fellow. He's not even a Googler. He's like another level inside, I think, just below Sergey Brin and Larry Page. And this guy, I had the pleasure to meet him at an event 2 years ago from SEMrush. This event SEMrush organizes every summer for the past 4 years now, coming up to 4 years. And this edition was in Helsinki, but not very summer event, in Helsinki, in Finland. It was a bit cold for me, especially coming from Brazil. And they surprised us with a chat, I forgot the word in English now, a presentation from Avinash in the last day, like 2 hours of this guy speaking about AI and stuff. And I had the pleasure to be there. You see my little face there. I just highlighted so you guys could see it. And that's where I started to learn more about this process. And I said, I think I can work with that. So a little introduction to the marketing and measurement plan. So basically, in a nutshell, this is it will be a document that translates your top business objectives into dimensions, into metrics that you can measure it. You can put all your ideas, your strategies, your tactics into one document, and then you can present that to your CEO, to your CMO, and it's a presentation that becomes like, in a nutshell, in one page, in one slide, let's say, you can present all the goals, the tactics, everything that you want in one place. And that's another thing that I've learned throughout the years. I used to do presentations like strategic plans for SEO projects of 3 or 4 hours. And I used to see people sleeping on the table and so on, because it was very extensive. I was like doing current scenarios, talking about technical SEO on page. And I saw it, while some of these clients, they really saw a value into it, because it was like, I used to joke, it's kind of like a crash course in SEO, our presentations. But some others, as we started to get bigger clients and talk to the C-level, we saw that these guys don't have the time. They used to get bored. And I was always looking for a way to build that and to create something that was simpler. This gave me the opportunity to do so. So how does that work? It focuses on 3 focus areas. One is acquisition. So that's, okay, how you bring in traffic, how you're going to impact that audience. Then once you have that audience, how is that audience behaving in your website? And after that, how are they converting? What actions are they taking? AKA conversions. So when I saw this focus area, I said, man, this is SEO, because we bring traffic, we analyze behavior, and we want to drive conversions, because it's not just about being first in Google. It's not about just creating a really nice snippet and bringing traffic. We want to make business, right? We want to generate sales. We want to generate leads. So that's what I said, okay. That's when I started to think that I could use this in SEO. And this process, when I saw this 5-step process, I started to think, again, SEO has a space here. So first step is define your business objectives, your business goal. What do you want to become? I want to become the biggest e-commerce in Brazil. I want to become the biggest travel website in the world. So all this is the business objective, because we're going to work with that. We are going to get the business objective, not just like, I want to be first in Google. We are working with the brand, with the company, with what they really looking forward and how SEO can help them. Second step is define crisp goal for these objects, how we're going to measure that. And by saying how we're going to measure, we need to define KPIs, how we are going to establish that we are closing or achieving our goals. After that, step 4 is set targets for these KPIs. For instance, how many links do we need to get? How many conversions? How many pages that needs to be indexed? So targets for these KPIs are really important for it. And the segmentation. So where do we want to bring traffic for our website? You see that when we talk about SEO, this last step, I will eliminate it because we know where we're getting traffic from, organic search results, right? So in the end, the plan looks something like this. You have on the top your business objective. This is straight from Avinash's blog. So like global world domination, digital marketing measuring model. This is the whole objective. Then you have your goals. Like you can divide your goals between creating awareness, generating leads, highlight events. It all depends. It all depends on your business. So here he has website goals like reinforce, advertising. When he goes to generate leads, obviously capture more leads and so on. So this varies for each one of your businesses. So, and also for each goal, you need a measurement. You need to have a key performance indicator. So defining your KPIs. For each KPI, you also need to define a target and another goal. You know, how much is enough? What we need to achieve, like in terms of visits, conversions, transactions, that will help towards the main business goal. And then we have the segmentation here, which for us in SEO will obviously, it's organic search traffic. A little bit of referral, if you will, but this is mainly it. So looking at this, I said, yes, this is what I can transform this into a really nice model that I can work with SEO, that I can give it to my sales team to go in a sales pitch or put a strategic plan together to show my clients. And when I bring that to the team, it's easy for my project managers to consume that and delegate to the specific areas. Look, technical team, this is what you have to do. Content team, and so on. So how do we apply this to SEO? I create a really simple model here for us to follow it. Obviously a hypothetical model, but you get the idea, and hopefully we'll open up your mind to say, yes, I can use that in-house, or I can use that with my clients or my sales team and so on. So as I said, I reduced the step. So obviously we need the goals. Here's very important. Here's the key factor for everything to work. You need to ask your clients or get from your CEO, from your company, what is the main business goal? What do you guys want to achieve? And that's where SEO will have much value, because you show your managers, your C-levels, that SEO is really helping them towards the business. It's not just getting top positions in Google. This, when I started doing that, our reputation around companies and so on became more valuable, because they said, oh, hang on, these guys are really helping us. It's not just first position in Google. It's not just traffic. So then we define the strategies. Step 3, define the KPIs. And 4, define the tactics. So this is how it's going to look. Hypothetically, we have this client that wants to become the biggest fashion e-commerce in the UK. What are the strategies that SEO can help with? First of all, optimize the platform performance, crawl, and loading time. See, now we're getting more into SEO here, guys. What else can we do? Improve organic visibility of non-branded keywords. And the last but not least, increase popularity and authority. I could also increase conversion rates, transactions, but just to keep it succinct, let's focus on these guys. So how are we going to measure that? First of all, number of index page. This is easy to report to anyone. And also loading time. So easy. Our pages are loading with 10 seconds. Now we brought it down to 3 and so on. Again, how are we going to show the KPIs for organic visibility? Average position and organic sessions and users. Increase popularities, number of backlinks, and referral traffic, because as you know, you shouldn't be really just thinking about links. I know that's difficult, but just links that for SEO wise, you need to think about the potential to generate referral traffic. And what tactics us SEOs can do, like this is going down to the team now, we are going to do in order to achieve those results. Have a good sitemap, compress images, analyze log server analysis, log files, compress HTML, fix scroll errors and issues, cache JS and CSS. Again, a lot of tactics can be put into here, but I think you get the picture, right? What else can we do? Like when we're doing what tactics around organic visibility, keyword research, the basics, on-page optimization, title, metas, H1s, and so on. Content optimization, text, images, internal links. You get the idea, right? When you're going to increase popularity and authority, we take an approach, a hedgehog, of like using the concept of creative campaigns, not just using cast blogs and just outreach. No, we try to create a campaign that correlates with the business goals. So, and also that will enable us to produce content. Produce this, what we use, the concept of 10x content, a concept coined by Rand Fishkin a few years ago, which is the content that's 10 times better than anything that has been ever published around that subject. When we create that, we create content that attract links. We create linkable assets for our clients. And there, obviously, then we go into the outreach. So you see, in one slide, I can present to any manager, director, CEO, any level, in a nice way, this is how we're going to help you guys achieve good results. But that is not just it. We also need to show how we're going to work. So here, I've noticed that the title there changed, because after a few presentations, a few years doing that, I said, okay, this is the measurement plan. All the kudos to Avinash, or the rights for him. But I changed the name slightly, because this is the strategic SEO plan. This is a roadmap for any project. So you guys in-house that want to get a bit more budget, you can use this fairly easy. If you want to go to a sales pitch, or even when you do an audit and you're just going to present what you guys going to do, you see, in one slide, you can have all the information in a nice and easy consumable way. So we strip out all the technicalities, leave that for when we talk to our technical guys, or for when we are talking SEO to SEOs. So yeah, this is the plan. And here are the bonuses that I've prepared for you guys. The workflow that we use, a Hedgehog, and project scheduling, because I find that very important for people to understand when things are going to get delivered, and then you're easing the anxiety of what our industry generates, right? People are always eager to understand, when are we going to see results, when things are going to get delivered, am I really not wasting my money? So when you start to put things in a nice way that people understand what's going on, it's easy to even get more money out of these clients, or more budget, if you will. So basically what we do, first step, we start with an audit, which is a discovery, analysis, and learning process that we do to understand the business, to understand the market, to understand the competitors. Then we move on to the strategic and tactical plan, and then to the execution. So it's a three-step process, a three-step workflow that has been working quite well for us. And that way we organize things, and then it's easy to replicate on a schedule. This one stayed in Portuguese, but you get the idea, guys. Well, most of you are Portuguese. So anyway, when things are going to get delivered, when are we going to fix the technical errors, when on-page optimization is going to happen, content curation, blog, link building, training sessions, when are we going to get monthly reports? So in this way, we kind of like, this is not just a draft, obviously, but we show the client. I've noticed that we ease the anxiety of them understanding when things will happen in-house. That's very important as well, because you have to negotiate with your IT team. You need to negotiate with the marketing team. We are always like, we are the negotiators, aren't we, in the SEO industry? So hopefully, I think this will help you guys achieve that. And finally, how we estimate growth, because most of the clients we start working and we work with ask, when I will see them, I'm returning over investment, the famous ROI. So I developed this methodology that uses a group of keywords, their search volumes, average positions, CTR, conversion rate, and average order value to make this estimation. So first of all, we need to define a group of 100 keywords. So you get that obviously for your keyword planner, SEMrush Magic Tool, Ahrefs keyword tool. I forgot the name of it. Anyway, select 100 keywords, define the search volumes and the average position. So you add everything up. So you're gonna, in this case, we have a possible traffic of 200,000 visits, and the average position is 17. Okay, keep those numbers in mind. After that, we need to get some data from GA. So you need e-commerce conversion rate, average order value for your organic traffic. Be careful here, because if you do it for the overall of the website, the overall conversion rate, you might get things wrong because they might be different. It might be higher, it might be lower. So if you stick with organic, you're spot on. And another tip, use a 12-month period to iron out seasonalities. So if you get like from this time of the year, like we have a client in the wine industry that just sold more than the Black Friday from November, because things are crazy at this time. So when you get a 12-month period, you iron out seasonalities and you have a very approximate average. That is what the reality of the conversion rate, and obviously average order value as well. With that in mind, with that done, now we need to define the CTR for each organic position. For that, I use advanced web rankings. These guys, they have the international, which is where I use when I'm doing Portugal or Brazil or Spain. When I'm in the UK, the data is more precise. And what's good now, they have these categories. So where we want to remember that we're going to become the biggest fashion e-commerce in the UK. So I selected apparel and sport and fitness just to have some comparisons there. And what he does, these guys, they calculate the estimate of CTR, the number of the click-through rate, for each organic position. So that way you can have your estimates. You know, if you're on position 1 in the apparel industry in the UK or in the internationally, you should be getting around 16% of the clicks. So simple math here. If you have a keyword that has 100 search a month, 16%, you should be getting 16 clicks. Anything lower than that, you should look into your snippets, add your FAQs, and like Antonis said, create richer snippets there. So, okay, now we have all the data that we need. So how are we going to forecast that? We have 100 keywords, possible traffic of 2,000 visits, average position of 17. Obviously, 10,000 to 200,000 visits is utopic. But what I do, I get the 2,000, then I add the long tail, which I normally do a rule of thumb here, which is half of the head tail data or head tail keywords, which with that, we have a possible traffic of 300,000 visits. But we need to take into account that Google takes off, the ads, they take up of our traffic. So I use a ratio of 70 to 30, which then gives us a total of 200,000 visits. If we move that to position 10, the expected CTR is 1.5. So that's going to generate an extra 3,000 visits at a conversion rate of 0.33%. 11 transactions with an order value of 400. This is what we're going to generate. We're going to generate 4,300 euros or reais to that company. So you see, using data, we can estimate growth. And then you just go into 6 months, you move to 8 position, 3%, and so on. You guys, I'm just speaking fast here because I don't want to really go over the time. I can explain more that later. Contact me. I'll go through with you in details. So last step, aggregate the data. So you have your growth over 3 months. So as you can see, the average position lowers or increases. So 10, 8, 9, 3. Organic traffic, the more you improve your rankings, the more CTR you get, the more traffic. If you maintain the conversion rate, you see that you're going to generate more sales. So this is math, simple math here. And with the average order value, you can estimate the revenue. And if you add how much you charge the guys a month, you can see that you can estimate your SEO ROI. They invested 36,000 in a year. We generated 97,000. That is a 2.71 ROI. So obviously we can elaborate a bit more on this one. But as you can see with data, you guys can also talk with if you're in-house. Say, look, this is the estimation. If we invest a bit more in SEO, this is what we can get out of it. This for sales pitch, guys, for agency for you that you work in agencies, this is gold, because when you show that to the client or the prospect, he says, "Man, okay, I see the value. Let's do it." And you can download it here. There's a little spreadsheet. Contact me if you have any doubts. And remember, basic is advanced. I try to translate that. O básico é avançado. That I always says in Portuguese. Well, I don't think there's a better business card for an SEO than Google my name. You find my LinkedIn, my blog, my personal profile, and blogs that I write for. Feel free to contact me. Subscribe to my channel. Don't panic, it's organic. And thank you, guys. That's it. That's my social networks. And feel free to hook up in any one of them. Happy to exchange more knowledge there. And I hope I didn't talk too fast. Sorry. But when I see the time, I get really nervous around it.
That was extraordinary. Thank you so much, Felipe. It was an amazing presentation. People here in the chat, they were loving it. So thank you so much. I'm not sure if there is any question. Let's give just a couple of seconds to see if someone wants to raise their hands with any question. But yeah, the way how you present the data, that's exactly the best way possible to use organic data, because most of the SEOs tend to say, oh, because SEO, we don't have a lot of data. Paid channels, usually they have more. That's, I mean, in a way, it's true. They have a little bit more in a way, but we still have our own data that we can use to make our cases, as Felipe clearly show you guys. So that's kind of the way how you should present your cases. You should not be begging your companies, your CEOs, your managers because I want to implement schema markup, because I want to create new pages. You will be asking, okay, why? Why should I invest my dev team time, that's money for the company, to make what you are suggesting? Why? What's the reason? And the reason is just one, is has to be money, because that's what what is paid the salaries in the end of the day. So extraordinary, Felipe. Thank you so much. What an amazing presentation. I'm very, very happy to have you here. I'm 100% sure that our Brazilian Portuguese audience know you very well, but and also because you have agency here in the UK. But I hope other people in Europe had opportunity to meet your work. Thank you so much.
Obrigado. Thank you. Muchas gracias. I can't say that in French. Sorry.
Bye-bye, Felipe. Obrigado.
Bye-bye.
That was an extraordinary presentation. What a presentation we had here, full of data and insights. I hope you guys you have enjoyed it as I did. We are running out of time. This is crazy. 3 times a conference online. I I I don't recall a time where it happened in Portugal, something like that. I'm really glad you guys, you are still with us. We are moving to our last presentation, and I left for the last. A friend of mine, Sido, is his name. He worked with me in the hostel world. Omi is an SEO and web development professional with 6 years of experience in both web and traditional advertising, promotions, events, and campaigns. He has worked on integrated campaigns for major clients such as Vector Mobile, Light Mobile, the Global Real Estate Institute, and the well-known newspaper Daily Mail. We met at the Hostel World where we worked together, and since then it's been a huge pleasure to see Omi growing as an SEO professional. Omi already participated as a speaker in some of the major SEO conferences around the world. It's an honor to have him here with us today. Omi Sido, I hope you can turn on your camera and mic and show us your presentation about how to automate all the SEO data and all the data that we can and we should be using. So Omi is here. Let's see if we can bring him here. Not sure if here we go. Omi, we can't hear you and see you. So you are there because you show up as your presentation. So you are online, but you have to turn on your camera and your mic. It's the square where you see your face. On the bottom, you have camera and the mic. You just have to turn it on. Let's see. Otherwise, we will just see your presentation with no voice. Here we go. Now we can see you. We still can't. Oh, here we go. I believe. Yes, now we can. Okay, go ahead.
Sorry, guys. I'm just struggling with. Okay, can you hear me now? Can you see me now? Hi, guys. João, can you hear me? Sorry, I'm in a total darkness here.
Yeah, we can see you and hear you, and you. Yeah, here we go. And now we can see you and your presentation.
Okay. Okay, it happens. I've been working all day, guys. I've been working since 8 o'clock in the morning. Now it's 4:30 in the afternoon, non-stop. I just had some coffee. So let's start because I'm aware that we're running out of time. Hi, guys. My name is Sido, and I'm the Senior Technical SEO for Canon Europe. Today I'm here, as you know, João invited me to talk about machine learning and SEO. Obviously, machine learning is a huge, huge subject. So the 10 minutes are not enough. So I'll try and do my best in this short time to give you some ideas and some direction of how I see machine learning and what's happening basically in the world of SEO. So without any delay, let me make my first statement. And I really want you to pay attention to this statement. Google is a business. Google is a business. I know YouTube is free, Gmail is free, Google Sheets are free. But at the end of the day, Google is a company and they're here to make money. And let me tell you that SEO is a business as well. Maybe we say organic, free organic traffic. But if you want to rank well in the SERPs, you need content. You need to pay the copywriter. You need to pay the developer. If you need to pay me as an SEO. So SEO is a business, and the bottom line of every business is revenue. So with that in mind, Google is a business, and as every business, Google wants to satisfy its customers. Google customers are the people who go online and search for our products. When you think about it, Google and us as SEOs, as digital marketers, we are actually on the same side. But when you think deeply, deeply, deeply about it, basically, they are not our customers. They're Google customers, and we want them to come to our website. So I really want you to understand that Google is not free. SEO is not free. There is nothing like free organic traffic. The bottom line is you always have to pay some money, a lot of money, depends, to rank well in the SERPs. So to satisfy their customers / our customers, Google has to come up with different ways of ranking websites. So for that matter, they develop algorithms. Recently, in the last 2 or 3 years, actually, to be honest with you, it's more than that. Google started thinking about machine learning, or let's call it introducing machine learning algorithms. I know the actual word machine learning sounds very digital, and Google also sounds very digital. But when you think about it, those machine learning algorithms are actually designed, the thought process that's going in Google is to satisfy their customers, and their customers are not robots. Their customers are actually human beings like us. Nevertheless, those algorithms are digital. They are based on machine learning. And the one that's really that started the whole thing, it's called word-to-vec algorithm. The way this algorithm works is actually very easy. Some people associate it to actually connect this algorithm to RankBrain. And basically, when people think about this algorithm, they only think about recognizing in the SERPs search terms that have never been seen before by Google. And the number is massive of these never seen searches before. The way this algorithm works, and I'm not going to go into details because I don't have enough time, but basically this algorithm is based on two sub-algorithms. I'll call them subsections, sub-algorithms. As you can see on the picture, one of them is called scriptgram. The other one is given this continuous bag of words, means nothing basically. But to understand this one is, in the first case, Google is trying to, I hope you can see my, you can see the arrow. Google is trying to understand the meaning of a word by its surrounding words. In the other case, Google is trying to understand the meaning of the surrounding words by a given keyword. Sounds interesting, sounds even a bit confusing. I actually know why a lot of people think that Google is not using machine learning when it's ranking pages. But to these people, I want to say, if Google is not using machine learning to rank pages, websites in the SERPs, why is then Spotify using the word-to-vec algorithm that I've just told you that Google developed? Why is Spotify using this algorithm to give you recommendations for music? And if Google is not using RankBrain to rank pages, okay, basically we're going in a very dangerous, waters here. I don't want to say that Google is using RankBrain to rank pages. I'm just giving you an idea. If Google is not using machine learning, or in our case, RankBrain or word2vec, why is then Airbnb using this very same algorithm to suggest properties? See, when it comes to machine learning and when it comes to ranking pages in the SERPs, let me give you my understanding, and I hope that most of you will agree with me. Whatever, absolutely whatever Google displays in the SERPs, you will not click if it's not relevant to you. I can optimize any page to rank #1 in the SERPs, but if it's not relevant to your query, you will not click on it. Am I right? If you're looking for João and my page comes on top, you will not click on it because it's not relevant to your search. See, everything, absolutely everything, and I told you this at the beginning, Google is a business. They've got their customers. They have to satisfy their customers. They have to give them the absolute, the best result. Not just any result, not the best optimized page, not the best design, not the most funky looking page, but the actual result that will satisfy the end user. Please take a minute to think about it. Take just a minute to think about it. So when you think about it deeply, everything comes down to relevance. And I really enjoyed Felipe's talk before me, because in a way, he was talking about relevance, you know, and you'll see later why. Everything comes to relevance. If the result is not relevant, Google will not satisfy the end customer. The end customer is a human being. Human being got a predictable, you know, behavior. So you may say, Omi, there's nothing like a relevance score in SEO, right? The people in PPC, they've got the relevance score. We don't have it, you know. People who rank adverts in Facebook, they've got relevance score. We don't have it. People in Facebook, they have a relevance score. You know, we don't have anything like relevance score. So as a baseline, let's look at this research that Felipe already mentioned, and I loved it, you know, of advanced web ranking on historical click-through rate against position. Now, think a specific keyword, because this is obviously for a lot of keywords. So looking at this graph, I can tell you roughly that if you're in position 1, you know, this is historical for US, okay? You know, if you look at position 1 and your click-through rate is roughly below 25%, if you're Google, if you're the machine learning algorithm monitoring the SERPs, you're gonna think twice whether this page should be the page that brings the keyword, that, you know, the keyword, and then you got the page where people land. You're gonna think twice before you keep this page there. Why? Because people see this page in the SERPs, but they don't click on it. You know, and this is exactly what RankBrain does. You know, RankBrain. I already told you that RankBrain is based on the algorithm that I've just shown you, that other companies, by the way, are using also, like Airbnb. I already showed you this, Spotify. And to give you a secret, even Amazon is using a version of the same algorithm. And let me give you another secret. 22% of their revenue comes through suggested search. You also want to buy whatever they say there, you know. So looking at this research by Advanced Web Ranking, you may say, Omi, are you suggesting that click-through rate is a ranking factor? No, I'm not suggesting anything like that, you know. I'm not suggesting it. I'm just making you aware that it may actually affect your rankings. It may affect the way Google displays your pages in the SERPs. And my thoughts are based on the way machine learning works. So again, you may say, Omi, you're talking relevance and click-through rate and all this stuff. What should I do as an SEO? Okay, let me give you an idea. You go to Search Console. You know, we all know what Search Console is. You download your data. Then you go in a tool like, what did I use here? Actually, Tableau. But you can do that in Google Data Studio as well. I prefer Google Data Studio because it's free. But in this case, yesterday, I don't know why, I used Tableau, you know. So if you plot position against click-through rate, everything below, and then you plot an exponential trend line. I don't want to get too technical. Everything on top of your average click-through rate, expected click-through rate, it's actually performing quite well. In the case of this website that I was checking yesterday, everything below your average click-through rate will actually be affected by every current and future machine learning algorithm. But then when you think about it, everything, I hope you see my arrow. For example, obviously this is my PowerPoint. I can't click on this, but if you were in Tableau, you can click on this circle and you can actually see the keyword, and then you can associate it to your landing page. When you think about it,
Ami, sorry to interrupt you. Just to say, to tell you that you can select an arrow on the bottom of your screen, and if you do it so, we will be able to see your arrow.
Okay, so, it doesn't matter. Just yeah, I understand. Thank you. When you think about it, point. Can you see my arrow now? João, can you see my arrow? Sorry.
Perfect.
Somebody asked me in the chat. This is Tableau. Anyway, when you think about it, a page is in position number 1, but nobody clicks on it. Why is this page? I hope you can see my arrow. Why is this page there? What is the purpose of this page? And again, as an SEO, is your job not to bring clicks, not just rankings? You know, if a page is ranking position 1, position 2, but it's not bringing clicks, there's something wrong there. As an SEO, you have to fix it anyway. What I'm asking you to think about now is think from a machine learning point of view, think from a rank brain point of view. This page, displaying this page in position number 1 is pointless. As an SEO, you should bring the visits, not just the rankings. I actually hate when people report on rankings rather than visits. Rankings is good. It's a good indicator of what's happening with your website. For whatever reason, Google is displaying this page in position number 1, but for whatever reason, Google people are not clicking, and this is a problem, not just from a Google point of view, but also from your SEO point of view. Less visits means less revenue. So a lot of I know that in the SEO industry, a lot of people don't want to talk about click-through rates. A lot of people don't want to they downgrade the importance of optimizing, and Filipe already mentioned this one, downgrade the importance of optimizing the snippets, the page titles, and the meta descriptions. So yesterday I made the effort to show you, Chris, you know that, and one of the best SEOs ever, Bill Slavsky. They're actually manually, themselves are optimizing the page titles and the meta descriptions for their website. So next time you go to a conference and people tell you those things are for interns or for beginners SEOs, think again about my presentation. Think again what the machine learning algorithm can do to your page in the future. I hope I'm not running out of time. So I do have some takeaways for you. I hope that after everything I said, you understand that the SERPs are very personal in a way that the way that your SERPs are not my SERPs, and your customers are not my customers, and aiming to attract all customers is wrong. You should concentrate on your industry. You should understand the ranking priorities for your industry. So don't ask me again, is long content more important than short content? If people in your industry, the people that you want to attract, are looking for long content, this is what you have to give them. And this is what Google gonna give them, regardless of what you think is wrong or right. And this is because the machine learning algorithm doesn't have feelings. It's just looking at data. Again, create irresistible snippets. Filipe already said that, create content that it's good, but relevant. I'll repeat this one word again, relevant, because I already said it 50 times today. I see a lot in the SEO community, people talking about good 10x good content. No, this is not important. Relevancy is more important than good. Of course, write good content in a sense that you give them something, but make it relevant. Don't expect your content to rank well if it's not relevant to your industry. Study the customer behavior, very important factor, because the machine learning algorithm is also looking at the customer behavior. It's very easy to see the customer behavior when you have a machine learning algorithm like RankBrain that is basically colliding all the data from all other ranking factors and applying them to you, specifically you. I mean, if you're the audience. And again, work with PPC and PR, you know, because brand awareness can dramatically increase your click-through rate. If I publish any page, even if it's not good, on one of my websites, it will rank well because people know the brand. You can write 10x, 50 times X content. It will not outrank me simply because people don't know your brand. And this is very easy to be seen by the machine learning algorithm. Guys, that is for today. I hope I managed to tell you everything. You can always find me on Twitter, or you can see my thoughts on my YouTube channel. João, thank you very much for inviting me today, mate. And if you have any questions, guys, ask me now, or
it was
you can always find me online.
Definitely.
Thank you.
So
obrigado. Oh, I remember this one. Obrigado.
That was good. So basically, we start this session with keyword research and how to select keywords and the topic that we should be talking about, and to structure the content in order to answer the user intent. And we finish with your presentation. Say, be relevant. Whatever you want to create, whatever
Put
you are building
together.
It has to be there. So
do not rely.
Sorry,
I mean, echo. Yeah, I don't know when. Do not rely on one single factor. Not one single factor will bring you success. You have to bring everything together for your audience, which also means that you have to know your audience, which is not always easy.
It is. One final question for you, Almi. So we are talking here about machine learning, and that's something that can scare some professionals. Kind of what is machine learning? Because we are talking about Google. You mentioned Spotify. You mentioned Airbnb. The thing is, you in your company, you can actually work machine learning to better answer your user intent, and that's something that people has to bear in mind, because it's possible to create modules where you are serving different content or piece of content to depending on the page that you are building or whatsoever. So do you have any specific example where you, for example, in your professional life, you use machine learning to present something, or this is something that you didn't use yet in the companies that you have been working?
Yes and no. You know, I have to tell you that I became a much better SEO, and I have a lot more success when I started working with UX and CRO. You know, because initially we are all only SEOs. We're only thinking about organic traffic, the free organic traffic. But after some times, you realize, especially if you're working for an agency, that everything comes down to revenue, not to rankings, not to visits, right? If you have 1,000 visits, but only 100 people buy from you, it's better to have 500 people and 500 people buy from you. Your boss will be much easier. But easier at investing in SEO. Sorry, my mind is rolling quickly because I'm thinking about the time, you know. But this is exactly what Google wants. Google wants relevance. You cannot achieve relevance only by doing SEO research. You have to think about the user experience. You have to think what people do when they come on your website, because otherwise they're going to bounce back, right?
Definitely.
So otherwise, I use machine learning to analyze I'm not a Python developer or anything like that. You know, I want to learn Python, to be honest with you. It's just I can't find any time. You know, I'm short on time always, but I use machine learning for sentiment analysis, and they work well. I have to admit, I can't publish anything yet because I don't have enough data, but sentiment analysis. I use machine learning. I've got people who do it for me. I wish I knew Python better, right? Who do it for me, and I can see a lot of success. I rank pages much quicker, by doing sentiment analysis. They also sentiment analysis also help me to understand better the audience anyway.
Thank you so much, Tommy.
So this is one example that the main thing, because you mentioned it, don't be scared. Just click on the links in my presentation. Then you're going to learn about what Google is doing. It's not scary. It's actually good for us SEOs. But as usual, as SEOs, we make it big, we make it scary, we make it crazy. No, it's not scary. It's not crazy. It's actually very easy. Their clients are our clients are their clients, and we should all go in the same direction.
Fantastic. Thank you so much once again, Omi. It was a pleasure to have you here. And I know that you are super tired, so I hope you have a nice rest of the day, and you can enjoy the sunny London today. Bye-bye.
Okay, thank you. Bye.
And guys, 3 hours late, here we are. In total, I was checking quickly here between our platform and YouTube. More than 250 people attend this webinar, and it will be sent to you, and it's live on YouTube, and will be there as well. So that was fantastic. Thank you so much for you guys to be here attending and watching. In terms of machine learning, something that I believe it's really important. If you have a platform with reviews, you can actually build modules to present better reviews, and not just by order of date, for example, but use in terms of what are the most relevant reviews, this kind of module, or to predict the next step in your marketing funnel. So you know that 60% of your users usually go from page A to page C, and they don't visit page B. So you have different internal linking, and they select often the same one. So these kind of modules can help you to prefetch some pages, or to make some internal linking or content more relevant depending on the pages. So if you have especially big websites, machine learning can help you a lot to make your pages more relevant to your users. So that's a very nice tip to end. I will be giving you the opportunity before we say goodbye to final questions, anything, or why not? If someone wants to appear, I can invite you to speak with me. Let's see. Let's see if there is anyone courage enough to share their experience or to ask a question. Invite me, said Morino. Okay, let's give a last minute to Morino. Okay, here you are. In the meantime, if no. Okay, guys. So regarding the attempt to spot source of traffic, any comments? Well, I mean, you can use any tracking you want, actually. So technically speaking, you can use it. So Google tend to split just to make everything much easier to the bot to understand what is paid channel tracking or what is organic tracking. But if you have canonical tags, like regardless whatever you have on front of URL, Google will understand and pass the value to the main page. So yes, I mean, there are a couple of readings I actually can share on this topic, but that's not a big issue for SEO. That's a very common question, actually. I believe it was Pedro and Morino. We were discussing this last week or 2 weeks ago. So yeah, don't overcomplicate it. Be sure you have canonical tags on your website. Okay, that's really important. Okay, if you have canonical tags well set up, to have, just select the right query strings you want to use, and to measure the source of traffic and other stuff, and that's absolutely fine. If you look to booking.com, for example, check their URL. It's full of query strings. It's impressive. So yeah, that's not the big problem if you have canonical tags well implemented. Okay, guys, there is no other question. It was 3 hours, passing 5 minutes now. Pedro says, I had the PPC person saying that UTM for PPC would create duplicate content. Not 100% sure what that person wants to say, but if you have a canonical tag, there is no duplicate content at all. Okay. So it is what it is. There is no brain here. Big agency. Okay. Guys, thank you so much once again. Was a big pleasure and honor to be the moderator of this conference. Was the first international SEO conference. I hope you guys you enjoy it. I know that it was in English and some people don't feel so comfortable in English, but I mean, to have the best SEOs, we have to invite international ones, because London, New York City, Paris now, it's where all the biggest and the best SEOs are mainly. So yeah, I hope you had enjoy. Please give any feedback you have to give me on LinkedIn or Twitter. Just send me a feedback, what you liked, what you didn't like that much, and yeah, if I hope you had enjoy, and if yes, probably we will be doing more of this conference. The deck will be sent by email. I was thinking to share here, but yeah, it wasn't practical. And potentially everyone, all the speakers will be sharing in the SlideShare as well. And also the YouTube channel, the YouTube URL will be sent by email to everyone. So once again, sorry for those ones who couldn't log in the beginning. Thanks all of you who were here since the minute 0. So thank you so much. Any question, any feedback, please reach me on LinkedIn. See ya.